Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing and Lily. Today, there was breaking news that Dimitri Bivol dropped his WBC title with the impending purse bid from the WBC for a potential mandatory fight with David Benavidez. Obviously, the same old characters are all over social media. Dick riding and fanboying for David Benavidez and showing no fairness or any common sense in literally looking at how this whole thing unfolded and being not surprised the way things have unfolded and the way things are right now. But we're going to be talking about that and obviously more after this short announcement. So see you in a minute. Welcome back. Cheers. An evening bevy. Evening for me, morning for some of you. So this was not a surprise, right? People acting as if somehow they were shocked and surprised that Dimitri Bivol dropped his WBC title. This was a position the WBC put Dimitri Bivol in, knowing the result, knowing that the fact that Turki Al-Sheikh put out an olive branch to the PBC and David Benavidez to try to give them exactly what they wanted and boxing fans. But unfortunately, the PBC did exactly what they consistently do. And of course, don't want to play by the rules, trying to make their own rules, trying to have everybody bend a knee to them as if somehow they're the ones dictating and pushing the sport of boxing, which is far from the truth. But the same usual suspects who dick ride the PBC and don't hold them to the same standard they hold other promoters are going to be out there fanboying, of course, criticizing Turki Al-Sheikh because these people, a lot of them, have been looking for an opportunity to do just that from day one, right? These are the same people that were heavily critical of how people were critical of Al Heyman and the PBC. Yet these people were critical of HBO. These people were critical of DAZN. These people were critical of Matchroom. Now these people are critical. They were critical of Golden Boy. Of course, they've been critical now of Turki Al-Sheikh. So these individuals that put out this, oh, woe is me energy, why is everybody against the PBC and Al Heyman? Well, it's because obviously, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we know the race card got pulled into it. But yet these same people, these same individuals, mostly American-based American YouTubers, because I don't know how much of this is real boxing fans or just these clout-chasing YouTube channels that do anything to create drama on social media to get paid. Who knows, right? The reality is I'm the same as everyone. I was looking forward to a Canelo Benavidez fight. I was looking forward to a Bivol Benavidez fight. But people have to understand where the control mechanism is coming from. With Canelo Alvarez, Benavidez dug himself a hole, losing his title, allowing all these other fighters to face Canelo Alvarez for him to become undisputed, leaving David Benavidez on the outside looking in. Then, of course, the negativity and crap people pushed, hating on Canelo Alvarez, thinking somehow this was going to benefit fighters like Andrade and Benavidez. But that wasn't the way to play it. And we saw that it did not work out for them. The WBC in that situation was protecting Canelo Alvarez. And of course, now they're looking for the perfect opportunity to do what? You know, it's ironic because Benavidez and his team came out and said, we're loyal to the WBC. You're loyal to the sanctioning body that stripped you, the sanctioning body that made you a mandatory, but then didn't force Canelo Alvarez to fight you. But you're loyal to these guys. See, once again, I don't have any idea how many of these people actually think without being emotional and just fanboys to the sport of boxing. But let's see who's in the house. Wayne Evans, salute. Chicano U-turn, what's up? Smash the like, did you? Mr. T, I'm willing to fight on the undercard and wait for the winner. Who am I to stop the trilogy? And the rational thing. See, this is what fanboy hating channels don't want to tell you, because they don't want Turki Al-Sheikh and the whole Saudi Arabia impact in boxing to be effective. They were happy to see anything sort of be unsuccessful and give them any reason to be critical, right? So Benavidez flew to Saudi Arabia to meet Turki Al-Sheikh, who was the guy who literally offered him a fight against the winner. It wasn't Benavidez' team or the WBC that was offering, this fight. It was literally Turki Al-Sheikh that said he wanted to have David Benavidez fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. So much so that he invited him to attend the rematch fight in Saudi Arabia, giving him great tickets. And obviously, we saw how that unfolded. Benavidez went all the way there, didn't go to sit down and actually have a conversation, break shit down, kind of like Wilder when he met DAZN, right? Once again, the PBC stopping one of their fighters from fucking getting rich, getting fucking their career benefited by working with outside promotional companies. What he did is he left before the big fight even happened, so he didn't even have a chance to go in the ring and face off against Bivol, right? And then started talking about how he was never going to fight in Saudi Arabia, even before he went to Saudi Arabia. This guy was sabotaging this whole thing even before all of this unfolded. And then, of course, the WBC, right, putting Bivol in this position, even though they knew what the plan was, right? And we're going to get into that whole thing. We're going to read the letter that obviously Bivol's lawyer gave to the WBC. Obviously, Suleiman was very dismissive, talking about how they were cold. How are you cold when you're doing things legally? Legality is always cold and factual. There's no emotion involved. So what did you want him to do? Phone you on the phone and fucking cry and beg and say, oh, please, Mr. Suleiman. Like, how realistic was that ever going to be? But this is the dementia that a guy like Suleiman has, a guy that thinks he's bigger than the sport, right? These sanctioning bodies who I've been fucking flaming for fucking years now. And the fact that some YouTube channels like Punch Drunk Boxing, what a fucking tool that guy is, right? Continue to push fucking Tio and fucking Andrade, right? And then be critical of Bivol and Canelo. Like, wrap your fucking mind around that. As if Andrade and fucking Tio are doing great things in the sport of boxing. Oh my God. Morons. But Hard Recoil, welcome. Mr. T says he literally said that shit. Yeah, like, you can't make shit up, right? Benavidez' team consistently exposes him and exposes their agenda. Their agenda is a PBC agenda, and we know how that goes. They want to do fucking in-house PBC pay-per-view fights, hoping that now he's got a world title at light heavyweight. Somehow that's going to legitimize him and actually allow him to do pay-per-views that are going to be successful. He's already had 3 pay-per-views from the PBC. Not one of them was successful, even though you fought an American in Caleb Plant, right? A guy who literally fought Canelo, so has name recognition, was a champion, fought for Undisputed. Then you fought Demetrius Bubu Andrade, the best fighter in boxing, the killer, the man everyone was ducking, the superstar. Holy moly, Demetrius Bubu Andrade. Holy shit. A man who never fought a world champion until he faced David Benavidez, got knocked the fuck out. And then ducks Morrell in an in-house fight, only to fight him at light heavyweight for an in-house fight, right? And somehow that justifies you to end up earning this opportunity to be mandatory based on beating a guy who came out of retirement. You beat Vosdick, who literally came out of retirement, and that makes you the mandatory, the interim WBC champion. And we'll talk about all this when we break through the message and obviously talk about these points, one by one as they pop up in the conversation. Obviously, you guys feel free to give your comments on shit as well in the comment section. Like I said, I ain't hating on David Benavidez. I was a David Benavidez fan, but his unprofessionalism, obviously the same kind of things we've seen with all PBC fighters unfolding, really puts me in a really negative sort of mentality towards him and towards the way his team operates. because we know how they operate. We've seen it time and time again, right? This was a guy who was protected, didn't have to fight any legitimate competition. Finally, in 2024, stepped up his competition, fighting a guy that Canelo already beat. Canelo gets zero credit for beating Plant. David Benavidez is supposed to be getting praise fucking out the yu-yang for fighting him. How does that make sense, right? Then you end up putting yourself in position for Undisputed, which people are saying, if you want a Canelo Alvarez fight, you fight the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. Become Undisputed at 175, and this is going to give you a great set of leverage to potentially get that Canelo super fight that you want, because now you literally have something that Canelo Alvarez wants, right? Now you're fucking worth the fight, worth the challenge. But what does he do? He literally ducks Undisputed. People are going to tell you that Bivol ducked David Benavidez, but no. That's not what happened. What happened is David Benavidez ducked Undisputed, just like he did at 168. He could have forced the WBC to mandate a fight between him and Canelo Alvarez, so he could have tried to become a 168-pound undisputed champion. He never put in the paperwork. Suleiman said it. Suleiman is lying. I mean, if Suleiman is so correct and so true and so trustworthy, then we got to believe him when he said that as well, right? You got to believe him then if you believe him now. And now he's in position to fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev, was given a fucking career high payday on the undercard to fight Callum Smith to build up the fight, right? Which is historically what happened in boxing. It's not very unusual to have a double header where you have the two fighters that you're hoping to do a huge fight down the road, right? Historically, that's always what's been done in the sport of boxing to help generate a buzz, build the fight up, right? Not being on opposite fucking sides of the street, fighting opponents that nobody cares about and think that somehow that's building it up, i.e. fucking Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, i.e. fucking Spence and Bud Crawford. No. Literally being on the same card, trying to upstage the guy who's ahead of you, calling him out, stepping in the ring with him after he wins, right? Really building a buzz, getting fans excited for the potential showdown between these two fighters. Yet Bivol and his team, not interested. Or sorry, not Benavidez and his team, not interested. They would be much more happy to be WBC champions and fight a bunch of fucking in-house bum-ass opponents on $80 pay-per-view, but act as if everybody's afraid of them. They're the ones being ducked. They're the boogeyman. And we've seen this shit unfold time and time again with the PBC, whether it was Errol Spence, Tank Davis, Deontay Wilder, fucking Charlo, Canelo, because Canelo was with the PBC. The David Benavidez fight and Canelo could have been done in the same fucking side of the street, but it wasn't, right? And Al Heyman has no responsibility there because, of course, Al Heyman is like Teflon. Nothing sticks to that guy. It's always somebody else's fault. Wayne Evans says, just like Haney never petitioned the WBC to mandate the Lomachenko fight, but he also ducked. Yeah. And Lomachenko fighting for unification somehow is ducking is mandatory. Never in the history of boxing have I ever heard a guy fighting unification ducked his mandatory. Only with regards to Lomachenko would that ever be said. Because you didn't hear people saying that Devin Haney ducked Shakur Stevenson, right? Even though Shakur Stevenson was, again, Haney's WBC mandatory, and they literally mandated that fight. He chose to go to fight Regis Prograis at 140 as if that was a more significant fight. No, it was a more winnable fight. Will PBC allow him to fight on undercards? PBC's had lots of fighters fight on Turki Al Sheikh undercards. So it's nothing unusual. They don't have to pay for it. They get a percentage of it. It does not hurt them to have their fighters be on Riyadh season fight cards. Just like the same reason that Teofimo Lopez is currently fighting in New York on a Riyadh season card that Bob Arum doesn't have to pay for, but also gets a percentage of the fucking purse, right? This has always been normal. If you don't have a superstar fight or opponent for a guy, and somebody else wants to pay him big money and you get a percentage of it and you don't have to risk anything, you do it. Because it doesn't hurt you unless you have high hopes for this fighter and he potentially is going to be exposed on somebody else's undercard. And then at that case, you will protect him like the PBC historically has done with most of their fighters. Benavidez is now an email champion. Yes, he is email fucking champion, right? And they're going to act like somehow he is the legitimate fighter, but he's not the Ring Magazine fighter at 175. That's still Dmitry Bivol. And Bivol's going to be fighting undisputed champion, pound for pound fighter, Artur Beterbiev next. But fighting that guy, who's way more fucking proven, has accomplished far more than David Benavidez as a light heavyweight champion, because Benavidez has never been a light heavyweight champion. Yet fighting Benavidez is somehow a better fight, a more justified fight, a fight that fans are eager to. These are the same fans that want Nui to come to America, but then don't want to support him when he comes to America. These fans are full of shit. That's what they are. These are the same fans that didn't want to fucking even support that big card because it's not American. Like, these are not boxing fans. They're fucking idiots and morons on social media. PBC has literally scavenger strategies. They do. PBC is the WWE of boxing. Fucking PBC. You know, I never hope anyone goes out of business. But when it looked as if potentially the PBC, Top Rank, were going to join DAZN, all be on the same pool, also with all this extra money coming in from Saudi Arabia, whether he controlled it or just fucking distributed money through all the promoters to make great fighters, it didn't matter, as long as these promoters were going to willingly work together to make great fights. Unfortunately, the biggest holdout of that was the PBC, right? Which is consistently what they've always done. No surprise there. But let's check out this and get to it. So the new email champion, David Benavidez, and that's what he is. I mean, Punch Drunk was talking about how he now becomes pound for pound. You become pound for pound by being emailed a fucking world title. Really? So that's what elevates you as a great fighter in boxing today, being emailed a world title. There's no legitimacy to it. This is no different than any other fighter that picks up a vacant title. The only difference here is the only reason the title became vacant is because the WBC was unwilling to follow consistent protocol and purposely wanted to fuck over Bivol and specifically Turki Al-Sheikh, right? This is more of a war between this sanctioning body and Turki Al-Sheikh and them wanting to get in the way of his plans, right? And that's what it is. Petty bullshit from these fucking promoters that literally went to Saudi Arabia and kissed his fucking ass. Yeah, Suleiman, kissing his ass. But now you got your nose bent out of shape, so you're going to fuck up shit for other people, fans, and create this typical drama show in America, right? And of course, all these fucking same usual channels on YouTube are going to love this. This is literally what they're going to be talking about more than boxing events, because that's what they do. They don't talk about boxing events. They'd rather talk about drama show. So, you know, Punch Drunks, the Egos, the fucking Dantes, the fucking 886s, the LDBC. It's going to be the same fucking bullshit that we're always used to from these guys. All the PBC fanboys have left to celebrate Keith Thurman beating Brock Jarvis, and Benavidez getting emailed to WBC without fighting anyone. Because they got nothing else to fucking cheer for. When Tank Davis retires, all they're going to be left with is fucking David Benavidez, an email champion. Woo! I hope they fucking work together with Top Rank, because that means all those PBC fighters are going to get beat. We know historically Top Rank always beats the PBC. So if this continues at the 80% win solution that Top Rank leads right now, by the end of fucking this year, the PBC is literally going to have nobody fucking left because they're all going to be beaten by Top Rank fighters. So is that really going to happen? Is the PBC really going to work with Top Rank and Bob Arum? I don't think so. PBC fanboys just identify with mediocrity. Exactly. Victim mentality, fucking always fucking pointing fingers, never wanting something to be successful unless they feel that it represents them. Right? This is the sickness with many of these fans. Can't you just be a fan of the sport of boxing? I had no problem with David Benavidez fighting the winner, giving himself an opportunity to become an undisputed champion. Now that opportunity is gone. And many other opportunities, which we'll discuss, potentially are gone as well. So, this guy potentially is costing himself legacy and fucking money. All to do what? The same thing a lot of these dumbass fucking PBC fighters consistently have done. Let's see if it works out for him. So far, for many, it hasn't. It's backfired big time. So this was what Dan Raphael first posted in the morning when I woke up before going to work. Breaking. Dimitri Bivol has vacated the WBC light heavyweight title, will not participate in Tuesday's Benavidez purse bid, and has notified the WBC per letter I have obtained that have also committed to a third Better BF fight, likely in October per source. I mean, I don't know how you're a boxing fan, but you're not excited to see a historical legacy trilogy fight between Better BF and Benavidez. Better BF and Bivol. With Benavidez potentially fighting the winner, which would have been fucking huge and fucking legacy-wise. But he chose to walk away from that. And you're going to have morons like Mirage, who are David Benavidez fuckboys, going all over the internet, getting into wars, trying to justify their new email champion, as if this somehow builds his legacy. No, winning a fucking vacant title does nothing for your legacy. Just like for Jaron Ennis, getting the vacant IBF title did nothing for his legacy. Just like for Mario Barros, getting the WBC title did nothing for his legacy. And many other fighters are in a similar position. You're only as good as the people you beat, the people you fight, the people you prove yourself against. You acting as if everyone has to kowtow to you doesn't prove anything except that you're a fucking whiny fucking bitch. And that's what we expect from the PBC. Whiny fucking bitches. See, once again, imagine people saying you fighting a pound for pound fighter to not fight your mandatory is somehow a duck. Never in the history of boxing have you heard such a fucking stupid take before, except of course from PBC fucking fanboys that are moronic, right? These guys sleep with their fucking sister, fucking too much inbreeding, it will do it to you. It turns your fucking brain into mush so you can't even think fucking clearly. And unfortunately for the majority of them, that's the problem. You can't have a fucking coherent conversation because there's nothing working upstairs with them, right? They can't understand that two things can be right. With them, that's impossible. Bivol has a legacy while Benavidez doesn't. Bivol's legacy is fucking great. Him and Better BF are being talked about as two of the top fighters in light heavyweight history. David Benavidez, what's he doing? He's pulling the Demetrius Andrade card. Everyone's ducking me. Oh, well, that worked out well for Demetrius Andrade. Keep up the good work. That's going to really build up your legacy. If Callum Smith isn't coming to America for anything less than $2 million or what, I don't think Callum Smith will come fight David Benavidez in America. Why would he? Callum Smith feels they could generate more money in the UK, which is fucking factual. Callum Smith will probably be offered more money to fight Anthony Yard or somebody else on a Turki Al-Sheikh card, just to say, fuck David Benavidez. We're going to see the level of competition David Benavidez fights now that he's a fucking email champion. And literally, it's going to be fucking shit opponents. Shit opponents. Sean is a legendary boxing mind in his community. Callum earns $500K to fight. He's a prelim fighter. But Callum Smith's legacy is better than fucking David Benavidez. That's the fucking irony. David Benavidez is a guy who's done 3 pay-per-views. All of them have lost money. None of them have been successful, right? But yes, he's a superstar in the PBC's mind, right? Callum Smith is a guy that won the World Boxing Super Series tournament, uh, right? Was a champion at 168 pounds, literally fought great fighters in the division, unlike some people, and we know who they are. And then went up to 75 pounds, had a fucking great fight with Benavidez, and then obviously just beat UK Olympian to put himself back on the map, right? So at this point, people will act as if somehow David Benavidez has done something. But what has he done? This is a guy that was a champion 2 times, dropped his title twice. Why? Because he's a fucking idiot, unprofessional, typical of the PBC. Typical, right? How many PBC fighters can you talk about their unprofessionalism? Let's go through. David Benavidez, Deontay Wilder, Charlo, Errol Spence, Tank Davis, Adrian Broner. I mean, you could fucking continue. The PBC has a knack for fucking signing and promoting fighters that just are unprofessional, divas, that act as if they've done something in the sport. Well, real boxing fans have looked at what they've done and literally fucking know he hasn't done a fucking thing. Now you're going to hate on Canelo, but the irony is fucking David Benavidez can't get his lips off of fucking Canelo Alvarez's balls. The guy's fucking always fucking got Canelo's fucking name in his mouth. Always. Always. He moves to 175. He's still dick riding fucking Canelo Alvarez for all it's worth. Literally, the only reason David Benavidez has any name recognition is because of how he's attached his name to Canelo Alvarez. We've seen this before. Kind of the way Deontay Wilder attached his name to Anthony Joshua. Again, an overrated fighter who was eventually exposed, didn't have a great legacy, but fucking never stopped talking about the guy that was really the star of the division. That's exactly what Benavidez is doing. Fucking blowing smoke fucking, consistently. Because that's what PBC fighters are good for. Blowing smoke. Not actually doing anything. Not actually winning anything, right? Only eventually being exposed as hype jobs and overrated. How long do we have to wait for David Benavidez to be exposed? Probably not fucking long. And then fanboy dick riders like Mirage and many others are just going to fucking dick ride and fanboy for a different PBC fighter because that's what they're worth. Not boxing fans, literally dick riders. Let's look at these sanctioning bodies. See, if you want to be a real boxing fan and you want to pretend you're a real boxing fan, then what you would do is you'd be critical of these sanctioning bodies and the bullshit that they consistently pull towards the sport of boxing. How boxing isn't bigger now because of these fucking leeches that have sucked the blood out of the teat of fucking boxing, right? Consistently making controversy, consistently fucking things over, consistently being a blight on the sport that I and you love, right? Right? We know how dodgy and how these fucking belts, these sanctioning bodies are so corrupt. They take money to fucking push and promote fighters, to push guys like Benavidez into a mandatory fight by fighting a guy coming out of 4 years of retirement. Never, ever in any sport have you ever seen a guy coming out of 4 years of retirement. You beat him and somehow you become a mandatory. Only in boxing, when you fucking throw the cash towards fucking one of these sanctioning bodies, does something this ridiculous actually happen. It's fucking downright disgusting. But people will look past it, ignore it, and act like it doesn't fucking exist, and then wonder why boxing is so, in such a fucking hole that it gets so criticized by non-boxing fans because of this. What other sport in the world has fucking 4 world champions? None. You've never seen it. You've literally never seen a fucking another sport have 4 world champions. Only boxing. But some dumbass motherfuckers like Mirage and many others are going to act like somehow this is great because Stupid motherfuckers, not a brain cell fucking inside their head. It's just bouncing from one side to the other. That's why they consistently don't have anything unique to say. Why they just have the same talking points time and time again, go all over the internet, arguing with everybody, consistently pushing the same bullshit because literally they're fucking thick. Thick. If you're from the UK, you know what that means. Stupid. But let's look at this letter that came under so much scrutiny by Suleiman, as if anybody has ever listened to Suleiman and fucking respected anything he's done. Isn't he the guy that created fucking that great WBC title that everyone was hating on? Right? Everyone wanted to hang Suleiman when he did that because he was trying to protect Canelo, trying to protect Lomachenko, trying to protect fucking Estrada, right? And now he's right. Everything he says is perfect, right? This is the mentality of a lot of these people. They will hate on Paulie Malignaggi, calling him a racist, but when he says something they agree with, holy fuck, they'll dick ride him, be all over him. These guys are just untrustworthy, right? Contradictory, and obviously not much fucking worth listening to. But Bivol was described as cold and impersonal by Suleiman. Cold and impersonal. So you're doing the legality, right, through this sanctioning body, right, which is going to hold you to legal expectations. But when you get your lawyer to write up a letter responding to the WBC, somehow you're being cold and impersonal. What did you want him to do? Fucking put lipstick on and fucking kiss the letter? Mwah! And then deliver it to you? Like, what a fucking tool Suleiman is. Right? He says, I have received a cold and impersonal notification from Dimitri Bivol's lawyer with arguments that are so ridiculous. Yet this is the same fucking sanctioning body that was holding back the undisputed fight between Benavidez and Bivol, saying that because Bivol was Russian, they wouldn't give him the opportunity to fight for the WBC title. Do we forget that? Yet we're going to believe anything and take this guy seriously when this guy literally was stopping the fight from happening. He was one of the guys getting in the way of Undisputed, like these sanctioning bodies consistently have. The IBF. The IBF fucking consistently gets in the way of Undisputed, right? All they do is fuck up the sport of boxing, and then people act as if somehow some Eastern European guy who's promoted by a German promoter who paid off the IBF, which is one of the more corrupt sanctioning bodies in boxing, somehow their mandatory deserves respect. Yet when you fight him, William Skull, people are critical because you're fighting a bum. But it's not your fault. The IBF is jamming this fucking guy down people's throats, as opposed to just making this guy fight someone legitimate like a Mimbili, Pacheco, Berlanga, Munguia, right? Benavidez, Morel. Fight one of these guys, you beat them, and then you can justify being the mandatory, and vice versa. But otherwise, it's consistent with the IBF. If you go through the whole listings of the IBF and the guys they mandate, it's a bunch of no-name fucking European dudes promoted by Germans, right? And we know why. Because those guys are paying big money to the IBF to put their fighters in this position. But April 7th, 2025, Suleiman says, as you know, this office represents Dimitri Bivol. Mr. Bivol has been placed in the position where, unfortunately, he's being forced to relinquish the WBC light heavyweight title. And that's the position he was pushed in, right? They were trying to work with Benavidez and the PBC so that everybody would benefit in this situation. But the PBC, doing what they always do, refuses to play fairly with other people. They don't want to play in the playground with all the other children. They rather fucking throw stones until all the children run away and then fucking moan and groan that they can't fucking play with anybody. That's the PBC. Everyone in boxing knows that there is a commitment for a third bout with Artur Beterbiev. Yes, we all know that. WBC knew it. PBC knew it. Benavidez knew it. They all knew the commitment had already been organized. So we know that this push for this world title fight, this mandated fight, was all fucking a facade, right? To duck Undisputed. David Benavidez again ducking Undisputed because PBC fighters don't care about their legacy. Generally considered to be the second best lightweight in boxing, we are working to consummate that belt. And everyone knows Beterbiev is a monster. He's literally a pound for pound fighter, ranked in every single fucking pound for pound ranking, unlike David Benavidez. But let's move forward. In addition, we were dismayed at the inability of the rating organization to adhere to the rotation system set so many years ago. We are aware that the IBF has claimed to be the lead organization with justifications for the next Bivol bout. So once again, these sanctioning bodies being inconsistent, not being fucking able to work with one another, consistently fucking over the fighters. Because this is what these sanctioning bodies do to the sport of boxing. They fucking ruin it. They take away fucking any legitimacy from it because of this inconsistency, where even boxing fans don't even know which promotion or sanctioning body should be next. We know the IBF, who people will fanboy for when they strip a Canelo Alvarez, right? They have a man in line. And you know they were probably getting ready to strip Bivol as well, because that's what they're known for. We wish to be courteous to those involved in the potential purse bid schedule for tomorrow. Thus, we will notify you of the relinquishment of the belt before that time, so people will not incur needless travel expenses. Very considerate. PBC president Mauricio Suleiman didn't take the letter's tone too kindly. What is wrong with this letter? It's factual, saying that everybody knew a Beterbiev Bivol fight was next, and also pointing out the fact that the IBF had already had somebody in line as a mandatory. This was not something new that hardcore boxing fans weren't aware of. Everybody was aware of it. What did he say? Didn't take too kindly and expressed his feelings about the matter. In his response, Suleiman branded the argument that the IBF is next ridiculous for ending the Bivol versus Benavidez. I have just received a cold and impersonal notification from Dimitri Bivol's lawyer, Patrick English, with arguments that are so ridiculous, I'd rather not discuss informing the WBC that Bivol has decided to relinquish the WBC light heavyweight title. But that's exactly what you guys knew was going to happen. Suleiman knew it. Al Heyman knew it. David Benavidez' fucking team knew it. So there's no shock. There's no surprise. This is exactly what they were pushing for. Not to fight somebody, but to be gifted a useless title that is almost meaningless. Congratulations. You're now an email champion. Wow, your legacy is fucking... You're a Hall of Famer now. The Mexican Mouster begins his third reign as a ruler after being stripped twice previously. Right? He ignores fucking the reality about why he was stripped. And he was one of the people who stripped him. He fucking lost his title because of drug use, failing a drug test for cocaine, and the second one being a fat ass on the fucking scale. He wasn't stripped. He fucking threw his titles away because of his unprofessional behavior. I know Mirage fucking hates that because truth fucking hurts, doesn't it? The 28-year-old hard-hitting defeated David Morrell on February 1st to prove his credentials at 175. Prove your credentials fighting a 168-pound fighter. Like, listen to that. He proved his worth by fighting a 168-pound fighter. Man, only in America, as Don King would say. His quest to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion will continue once the third installment of Bivol versus Beterbiev is in the books. No, it probably won't. By literally fucking snubbing your nose at Bivol and Turki Al-Sheikh, why would they fucking work with you for Undisputed next? Why bother? You're the one literally fucking cutting in line. You know, when you cut in line, someone's going to fucking slap you in the head. And in this case, being slapped in the head means you're probably not going to get a fight with Bivol for Undisputed, because why would Bivol fucking fight you? And you're probably not going to get the other big potential fights that are available because they also are associated and working with Turki Al-Sheikh. So literally Bivol is this email champion on the outside looking in who's going to moan and groan that he's being ducked still. fucking DuckTales by David Benavidez. Bivol, who now holds the IBF, WBO, WBA versions, will plow on with his planned third fight with Benavidez. And then he'll probably fight his IBF mandatory after that. And then we know bigger and better things probably after that. So where is David Benavidez in this plan? Nowhere. Enjoy that fucking WBC email title. WBN understands the state of boxing as planned for Bivol Benavidez as part of the Riyadh festivals in Saudi Arabia. Turki Al-Sheikh is expected to make a formal announcement on the trilogy match by the summer after Bivol equaled the two-leg series via majority decision. He gained revenge for Benavidez, doing precisely the same in the first meeting. Right? You know, somehow this letter, what's up, Stringer? Somehow this letter is cold and impersonal, even though literally it addresses everything you need straightforward. We have a fight scheduled. You knew that. So unfortunately, we can't participate in your fuck show bullshit fucking plan. So take the belt, shove it up your ass, go fuck yourself, because we're not going to deal with your bullshit. Good luck in the future. You just lost yourself millions and millions of dollars. Congratulations. Enjoy those fucking pay-per-views in Las Vegas against future bum-ass opponents that literally nobody's going to pay for, and you're going to have more pay-per-views that fail and don't sell. Congratulations. Let's all snap our fingers for David Benavidez and the PBC's consistent fucking fuckery in the sport of boxing, and how they consistently screw over American boxing fans by charging them too much for a bunch of bullshit. The PBC way. What's up, Mars? Sean, I can't lie. Mirage versus you is a good matchup I've always wanted to see. Oh, I can't talk to that guy. He's fucking a moron. Like anyone that's got his fucking tongue shoved so far up a fighter's ass, who even wants to listen to him? Go fucking create your own channel and spew your garbage over there. The fact you literally fucking come scrounging on everybody else's channel, pushing your fucking bullshit. You just seem pathetic. Pathetic. That's why I don't even fucking address you. Because once you saw fucking Benavidez's name, you had to come running with your fucking cape on. Benavidez already got a wife, man. He might need a side piece. Maybe Mirage is good for that. Maybe Mirage fucking fits that. Throw Mirage in a fucking mini skirt and he can be David Benavidez's side piece. Fuck. Caribou, what's up? Kimbo Slice says Mirage is a mangy dog. Yes, he is. Sean been hating on the PBC since 2015. I ain't hating on the PBC. I'm fucking giving you facts. You can't fucking deny. So that must make you feel something, but it's not my fault that fucking a platform you fucking support consistently has exposed themselves. When the PBC made great fights, like Fulton versus Inouye, Spence versus Crawford, I praise them for making big fights. But when you fuck shit up and when you don't make fights, I'm going to point that shit out too. Sorry, it just is what it is. Deal with it. That's the nature of the sport, right? Where are we? Yes. Smash the likes. Even you, Mirage, you're here. Everyone's reading your stupid comments. So, you know, Stringer from above, John Boxing just made a video claiming the racists are attacking the PBC. Of course he did. Of course he did. Because John Boxing is a fucking idiot that literally needs to fucking cry racism consistently. Right, John? Because we know you're listening, right? Like, you know, this is not people hating on the PBC. This is the PBC hating on fucking American boxing fans again. Literally fucking over another of their fighters for huge legacy opportunities. But if you love it, you love it. Pay your $80 for bullshit fights nobody wants to see. Where are we? Alonzo, you corny motherfucker. Was Benavidez Morel a good fight? It was a good fight. A fight that should have happened at 168 pounds. It wasn't a 175-pound fight that proved anything, because neither fighter is proven at 175 pounds. So that was a fight that could have been done earlier, but the PBC fucking didn't want to do it. until they had no other choice, and then they did it, which is always the way things work out for them. PBC has been shitting on everyone else. PBC, numero one man. Ha ha ha. What's up, Technique? That clown is mentally ill. David Boo Boo Benavidez. That's him. Another fucking Demetrius Andrade. Gonna fucking cry and moan that he's being ducked. And then Canelo can say, I know you want a payday, but you're not getting one now because you're literally pissed on the shoes of the banker. So congratulations. Tie yourself to the PBC. I'm sure that's going to work out great for you. Good fight, but not for $75 damn dollars. Oh, yeah, and that's true. Morel and fucking Benavidez, fucking $75, $80 in pay-per-view. That's not a pay-per-view fight. Nobody knows fucking Morel, the Cuban fighter. He's fucking unknown, as we saw by the terrible pay-per-view fucking numbers. That fight is literally worse than Andrade and Plant, because at least Andrade and Plant have American name recognition, unlike Morel, a fucking Cuban who fights in Milwaukee. Never have I ever. Salute, it's me, Alonzo. What's up, Jack? Bivol dropped the belt. And is going to get paid $10 million to fight a pound-for-pound fighter. Sounds like a good exchange to me. Sean, was John Boxing giving you copyright strikes? Or is it that hater John Boxing took down your channel? He forced copyright strikes, and then because of that, getting 3 strikes, you're out type of rule. So yes, it was John Boxing, the fuckery. No, the pay-per-view did not do 175 fucking pay-per-view buys. You're mental. Mental. But keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that. Yeah, I know. David Benavidez, he's the face of boxing. Actually, it's fucking Jake Paul. And don't be surprised if the next fight fucking Benavidez is chasing after is a Jake Paul fight, because that's the only way he's going to build his legacy. Him and fucking Tank Davis. The PBC is all going to chase Jake Paul fucking for his pay-per-view celebrities. And 554F says, I bet you know Benavidez fans are going to really push for the Canelo fight since he has a belt now. They're going to say that he's have something to offer. Yeah, maybe if he would have been undisputed, you could say that. Having one title that you got emailed by not fighting the fucking undisputed champion definitely ain't putting you in a position of strength. The Rat Boxing. John the Rat. John got your channel deleted and he has the audacity to come back. I know, eh? Snitch Boxing. Sean has exactly did John Boxing take down your channel. Did he copyright strike you? Yes, he did. Because I exposed him on his Inui bullshit. And then, of course, I used his voice in it. And because I used his voice, somehow I got a copyright strike, even though that's fucking as common as fucking anything. So I don't know how YouTube criticized me because of that, but they did. It is what it is. That's the problem when you got fuck boys that would rather cry racism over everything, right? You know, Benavidez is Mexican, but of course this is going to be racism against blacks, because everything's against blacks, even though it wasn't long ago that John Boxing hated on Benavidez and said he was easily going to be exposed by fucking Caleb Plant, the black American's favorite white boy. How did Ben duck Bivol? Bivol choose to fight the trilogy with better Biev, and if Bivol wins, he'll fight Benavidez next. No, Evan, he won't fight him next. You think they're going to fight this guy after he fucking cut in line like this, so disrespectful? Fuck that. They got many other ways they can go, and it doesn't mean fucking Benavidez. He's going to be, once again, on the outside looking in. Congratulations. It was a smart move. I need the man to protect me, Boxing. Nah, I know Canelo never fighting David. That's over. He is chasing a 30-year-old welterweight. Yeah, because it's a way bigger fight than David Benavidez. It's going to generate way more money and way more attention, because David Benavidez is only loved by a fucking small selection of PBC fanboys like yourself. And the majority of boxing fans don't really care about him at all. That's why they don't buy his pay-per-views. Can't trust John Boxing do a heist job. He'll snitch the next day for sure. So you can get a copyright strike for doing film breakdowns. Don't ask me, because I really don't understand how that fucking shit happens. because other people will play a whole fucking brand new video song and they fucking don't get their channel closed down. Other people do fucking, they show ESPN, the whole fucking sports channel. They're not ESPN. It's some Vietnamese fucking guy that puts the video of ESPN on and uses it to get clicks. And then at the end, you got the Vietnamese girl or Vietnamese guy fucking crocheting something in the background. And it's like, these channels don't get closed down and copyright striked, but I do, because I'm doing the same thing John Boxing did with me. Should I go back and fucking copyright John for using my fucking my vocals that I was criticizing Bud Crawford being put into pound for pound #1 when he beat fucking Indongu from fucking 7 years ago? Right? Like, it's ridiculous. People do it all the time. But that's what you get from a fucking simp. Benavidez, where are we? Benavidez and Bivol are the most feared men in boxing right now. Yeah, okay. Even though Mbili literally ducked his fucking French counterpart in a fight that was supposed to happen in France. Canelo versus Bud will give us the action Mayweather versus Pac didn't. Mirage, many Mexicans hate on Benavidez because he would beat Canelo. If Canelo groupies were down with him fighting the best, Canelo versus Benavidez would be a way bigger fight than Canelo Crawford. No, it wouldn't. Because unlike Crawford, David Benavidez hasn't done fucking anything in the sport of boxing. He's not pound for pound. He's not a 4-weight world champion. He's never been undisputed. He's never fucking unified. But okay, keep telling yourself that. What's next for Pacheco? Didn't believe he ducked Mbili. He didn't duck him. Those two guys were fighting about where they're going to have the fight, whether it was going to be in the States or whether it was going to be in fucking Canada. Neither guy is an A side to really push that pressure, but it is what it is. We will see what direction both of them go, right? It's unfortunate because with guys at that level, they should be fighting each other because they haven't proven anything, kind of like David Benavidez. So they need each other to build themselves up. But at the same time, it's risky. So you can understand why they're both hesitant. Sean, are you covering Boots Stanionis? Yes, I am. Canelo versus Benavidez would outsell Crawford versus Canelo. No chance. When the squeaky wheel gets the grease and keeps squeaking, it's time to get rid of it. Exactly. Like, that whole race component, black versus Mexican, it sells because all the black fucking boxing fans are going to support Bud Crawford. All the Mexicans are going to support Canelo Alvarez. Even if they don't like them, they're going to support them just based on race. You have two Mexican fighters fight. When has it ever been a big pay-per-view success when two Mexican fighters have faced each other? You split the demographic, right? You never had a huge successful pay-per-view with two Mexican fighters facing off against each other. But I know facts hurt. Hey, Sean, have you seen the latest video of True School? He said Bivol ducked Benavidez. No, I did. I commented in his video and he got in his feelings because that's really where he's getting right now. I compared his takes to fucking Sean Porter because literally some of the takes True School is coming out with are fucking terrible. He's just really showing that he's bitter, right? A lot of bitterness from that guy. And, you know, there was bitterness towards Inui. Then there's bitterness towards Canelo. Now there's bitterness towards Turki Al-Sheikh, right? There was bitterness back in the day towards Lomachenko. Like, I just don't understand all this bitterness towards boxers. I'm not bitter towards Benavidez. I blame it on the people that fucking control his fucking career, just like Tank Davis, just like Wilder, just like Spence, right? Like every other boxer, unfortunately, they're being manipulated and controlled by their teams, and a lot of the moves they make are just fucking not beneficial. Crawford ducked Murta, Boha, and Virgil. Yeah, well, first of all, get a grip. Like, I understand, Evan, that you don't like Canelo and you don't like Bud Crawford. It must be sad to be you because they're two of the biggest fucking fighters in boxing. So it must be really disappointing that two of the most famous, talked about boxers in the world you really just dislike. But sorry, that's something you're going to have to deal with because it is what it is. I'm Mexican, but Mbili should be A-side. He has headlined more cards in Canada. And what does that mean? He's still a nobody that fights on top ranked fucking secondary cards. Pacheco is literally the future of that division. Stormy B Man said Joey Spencer took a dive against Tim Tszyu. Yeah, because he's a fucking dumbass. Like every ounce of respect people once had for him for his boxing takes, he's thrown away once he fucking tied himself together with the LDBC. Right? Who takes fucking that kind of stupid fucking statement serious? This was the same fucking Spence that got knocked out by fucking Ramos. So was it a surprise he got knocked out by Tim Tszyu? Only if you're a fucking idiot or a PBC fanboy. Madrimov is not top 5. He was a fucking world champion. Something Stanionis and at the time Murtazaliev weren't. Virgil Ortiz still isn't. Canelo will duck Benavidez and Bivol so he can fight Crawford, and Crawford will lose to Canelo so he doesn't have to lose to a top guy at 154. Well, he's fighting Canelo because if he beats Canelo, that's the biggest fucking legacy fight he can get in the sport of boxing today. If you don't understand that, I question how much of a boxing fan you really are. And he's also going to get way more money fighting Canelo than he would fighting any of those other fighters. So when you put those two things together, it's a no fucking brainer. It's like your boss is willing to fucking raise your wage 150% and you only need to come to work 2 days a week. But you're going to say, no, let's just leave things the way they are now. Oh, yeah, okay. That's a good move. Good one. Stick with that. Crawford got his excuses lined up. Maybe. Morales Barrera was bigger than Morales Jr. Jones. When fucking those guys faced each other, Morales wasn't Morales. Let's fucking be honest. Now you're just fucking being ridiculous. Ridiculous. Let's skip by a lot of these stupid fucking statements. Sean, would you drop a StreamYard link only for Mirage? I feel it's a good matchup. Mirage isn't like money. Well, I really don't want to listen to him. That's why I haven't even talked about his comments, because this guy goes trolling every single fucking channel that has a negative fucking Benavidez response, right, to push his old bullshit. You've heard his fucking his spiel multitudes of times. Nothing's going to be different. Canelo gave his fraud a life jacket to avoid the top guys. Yeah, that was bad for Spencer. I thought he was a pretty talented for a prospect back then. Then again, anyone who looked good against cans. Well, what PBC fucking prospect has ever developed into anything? Just tell me one. One PBC prospect that literally developed into a top fighter. Let's wait. Have a drink. If you got them, drink them. Nestor Gibbs is Mirage's daddy. And if Nestor Gibbs is your daddy, I don't know what to tell you. But okay. So, which of these great prospects has the PBC developed? Anybody, please tell me. I'm curious. Maybe I missed somebody, but I'm really curious. Damn, man. Good point. Like I say, I may be wrong. Maybe I just can't remember somebody. But as far as I remember, there's fucking zero prospects the PBC has ever fucking developed. Any good fighters they have, they stole from fucking Golden Boy, or they got them when they left another promoter to move towards them. But outside of that, what good fighters have they ever developed? Zero, zilch, nada. I was never impressed with Spencer. Never. Just like fucking Malnicki. That guy clearly has somebody with influence pulling strings for him on the PBC. Like Malnicki, whose father was a New Jersey promoter, right? These guys, they were hoping they were going to be like the great white hypes for the PBC, as if great white fighters are successful in American boxing. What great white fighter does Golden Boy have? What great white fighter does Top Rank have? Right? You know, there's never been a push for the next great white fighter. Even when you think about Tommy Morrison, who literally had everything to be a superstar in American boxing, right? related to John fucking Wayne, huge knockout power, good looking kid, in good shape, strong, well put together, looked like a professional. No, even he couldn't be successful. But then people still push this racist narrative that everyone's looking for the next great white fight hype. Really? Oh, okay. I've been watching boxing for fucking a long time, and I've yet to see any guy that fit that fucking that narrative. But okay, all the white Americans moved over to MMA over a decade ago. But even a decade ago, there were no great white American fighters. None that were fucking being pushed and given tons of praise and getting more attention than great black fighters. There were none. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Karma is real. Heyman had over 100 fighters and fumbled the bag. Oscar still thriving. Sean, do you think the YTBC would be better without the drama from lady boys like Cuck Lonzo? The only great white fighters are those from Eastern Europe. And even those guys don't get support, don't get attention, don't get hyped really that much in America. Yes, Lomachenko got a lot of attention, but he was a two-time gold medal Olympian, right? Outside of him, which other ones? Golovkin? Golovkin got attention because he was driving through guys, knocking everybody out, had the highest KO ratio for middleweight champions in the history of middleweight boxing, right? But he had just as much criticism and hate towards him as anything else. American whites could care less about boxers. Exactly. Boxing is not something most American white people watch or support. J.A., salute. But I just wanted to look at this because this is the current rankings from these sanctioning bodies. So right now, the IBF has Michael Efford, who is number one ranked, right? So expect the IBF to jam him down Bivol's throat pretty soon. I wouldn't even be surprised if they strip him before October, because that is the IBF, right? Just to allow who? Fucking Michael Efford to be a champion so David Benavidez could fight him for unification? Oh my God, that's an $80 pay-per-view that I want to watch. And then, of course, you have the WBC, where somehow Morrell, who just lost, is ranked number 2. Right? Benavidez is number 1, but he's fucking getting stripped for fighting his number 1 ranked opponent by the WBC. Beterbiev is also number 1 by the other 2 sanctioning bodies as well. So literally in 3 of the 4, he's the number 1 ranked fighter, but somehow it's a duck to fight him. And I want you to look closely at this WBA rankings and some of the names there and ask yourself, which of these fighters is David Benavidez potentially going to fight now that he's a WBC champion? Because you will notice there's no real fighters there except for, of course, Beterbiev, who he's not going to fight, Anthony Yard, who he's not going to fight, probably not, even though maybe there's a possibility. Maybe Anthony Yard is a possibility. But outside of him, what big name fighter is there currently in the WBC rankings for Benavidez to fight? And who do you think the PBC is going to put him in with next to defend his email title? Right here, I just wanted to break down these 3 fighters because apparently it's a duck to fight a pound-for-pound fighter. Bivol, 24-1. Benavidez, obviously undefeated, but literally hasn't fucking fought anybody legitimate into 2024. And then, of course, Artur Beterbiev, a pound-for-pound undisputed light heavyweight champion who literally had 100% KO ratio. Benavidez has moved up, had 2 fights, one against a retired fighter, once against a 168-pound fighter who's never faced a top 10 opponent in his career. Didn't knock out either one of them. So how legitimate is Benavidez's power at 175? It's questionable. It's questionable. I don't know if he beats anybody that's a top fighter by knockout at the division, but we'll see. Like I said, I don't mind Benavidez fighting either one of these 2 fighters. But the problem is cutting in line. When you knew, you literally went there, you know what the plan was, fucking they laid it out to you, and you fucking threw your toys out of the pram, fucking jumped on a plane, flew back to America, fucking crying and moaning into your fucking plushie, just to scream to Al Heyman and your promoter once you got back to America that you are an A-side. You're huge in Vegas. Your fan base is great. You're a pay-per-view superstar. I want to fight in America. I'm building my fan base in Vegas. Okay, okay. Tell yourself that. That sounds good. I don't think anyone believes it, but okay, okay. I'm a white American and haven't met another one in my town. Really, Wayne? Shut up. You haven't met another white person in your town? White American left boxing for the UFC after Mayweather Pacquiao let down. Well, the Mayweather Pacquiao fight definitely fucking almost broke boxing in America. That's true. Sean, why is everyone not considering that the IBF is next, not the WBC? It seems like nobody is underlining that. Well, that was something we just broke down in the letter that Bivol's lawyer wrote to the WBC. And Suleiman said, no, that's a joke. That's not legitimate. That's not true. No, don't be so rude. Don't be so unfeeling. Don't be so uncaring. Right? So it was pointed out, but people don't care because the only time that people care about the IBF unknown fucking German mandated fucking fighters is when it gets a fighter they don't like stripped of their title. And then they can go, right? But outside of that, they don't fucking care about any of these mandated fucking IBF fighters. Now Canelo's going to fight Skull, and people are like mocking it like he's fighting a bum. Yet it's not his fault the IBF fucking did what they did. Just like it's not Bivol's fault that the WBC just did what they did. Are you going to say Canelo ducked Skull if you're a moron? Are you going to say Bivol ducked Benavidez if you're a fucking moron? Then you will. And unfortunately, there's a lot of fucking morons in this boxing community. Unfortunately, way too many. Boxing fans. That's true. That's true. I live in Taiwan. There was one guy that was a boxing fan I could talk to. Boha Murta have both avoided guys at 154. The great Jesse Hart. Mars, you're a smart man. Probably all UFC fans. Salute, Jay Perez. White Americans only care about the NFL and MLB and NASCAR. This has been a great live. Thank you very much, Chicano. You're a great supporter of my channel. I appreciate it. So what is Benavidez is potentially costing himself? Because that's what these guys like Mirage aren't taking into effect. Fine. Ooh, he's an Emil champ. Whoa, ooh, okay, he's a two-weight world champion. Wow, all right. I love David Benavidez. But let's look at the bigger picture and think about what this guy and his team are costing themselves potentially. Not only did they cost themselves an undisputed opportunity to face Dimitri Bivol for all 5 belts, including the Ring Magazine belt, which is easily the most respected out of all of them, because you don't get the Ring Magazine belt unless you're the best fighter in the division. Benavidez don't have the Ring Magazine belt. So even though some people will say he's the best fighter in the division, yeah, I know. Fighting David Morrell, that'll do it, right? That'll do it, right? You fight a guy that got knocked out by Beterbiev when he was fucking a prime world champion, and you don't knock him out. But yeah, I mean, you definitely fucking are the best. I mean, every real boxing fan totally understands that David Benavidez is the best fighter at 175, without a doubt. The Mexican monster is a superstar. Let's just get ready to pay for his next pay-per-view against Jesse Hart, which nobody's going to pay for. But good luck. So you give up an opportunity to fight for Undisputed. It's a fucking stupid move, a bonehead move. It's the easiest way in your career that you could become an undisputed champion, by fucking waiting for one fight to face the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. You win that fight, and now all of a sudden your legacy is fucking confirmed. You became a 2-weight world champion, and you became an undisputed light heavyweight champion in boxing, right? By beating a guy who is considered one of the best fighters in boxing today, but also one of the best light heavyweights in the history of the division. But no, you get an email title, which literally gives you fucking nothing. Congratulations, you got nothing. And then, of course, what you're also costing yourself is a potential Canelo Alvarez fight. Because if you were the undisputed light heavyweight champion, now you have some legitimate fucking leverage. You're obviously working with Turkey. You're obviously getting paid big money because you fucking fought Smith. You waited for your turn. You got a fight with Bivol. You beat him. Now you're the undisputed champion. You're a pound for pound top 5 fighter in boxing. Now the potential fight for you and Canelo Alvarez is really a hot topic and something that it will be hard for Canelo Alvarez to look past, especially with the huge money Turkey Al-Sheikh is throwing, right? That $150 million that Canelo was asking for, he ain't off that by too much. So the possibility of having that fight is real frosty. It's there for you, right? But you walk away from that as well as the huge amounts of money that you walk away from working with Turkey Al-Sheikh. His own fucking manager told us he was offered big money to fight Callum Smith on fucking the undercard of Bivol Benavidez. Big money. So not only are you going to get an opportunity to fight for Undisputed, but you're going to get a huge fucking money payday even beforehand. And if you win the fight, not only do you potentially get a rematch fight with Bivol, which would be fucking more money in your pocket and another great legacy fight on your resume, but now you get one step closer to really getting a Canelo Alvarez fight in a division where you have all the fucking advantages. Because Canelo is literally 1-1 at 175 pounds. As well as the big money and potential you get from working with Turkey Al-Sheikh, who we've seen the way he's worked with other fighters who worked with him. They consistently get paydays, they consistently get dates, they consistently get fights. Their careers fucking have just been doing far better working with Turkey than they were doing without him. But you're costing yourself that, all so you can get an email title. Was it worth it? You got to ask yourself that. For me, I don't think it was. But if you're a Mirage, you don't care because you're such a fucking fanboy, a fucktard, that facts don't matter. Only narratives. Benavidez never fought the best in his division. Never. The guy fucking never fought any of the other champions at 168 when he was a champion. Even the one that was inside his own promotional company. David don't want no smoke with Bivol or Better BF. No, he don't. He wanted an email title, and that's what he got. People fucking pointed this out a long time ago, and that's exactly where it's fucking ended up. Always the same story with PBC fighters, Tank, Spence, Wilder, Benavidez. All of them do not fight the best in the division and focus on keeping their own. Yeah. And you can say, I'm hating the PBC. John Boxing can make a video going, racists are hating on the PBC. No, what we're saying is fucking proven time and time fucking again. Who was the one that fucking kept the Errol Spence Bud Crawford fight for 5 years from happening? Not Bud Crawford in Top Rank, PBC. Hats off to Spence, because if he wouldn't have pushed for it, the fight probably never would have happened. And then the PBC shills would have continued to blame it on Bud Crawford, even though we know they ducked him at 140, they ducked him at 147, and they literally ducked him at 154. This is just truth. I know truth hurts, but it is what it is. And then we get this one, which is my favorite. So what can we look forward to from the PBC now that Benavidez is an email champion? And these are 5 fighters that I went through the WBC rankings and just the top fighters in the 175-pound division that I think were potential future opponents for David Benavidez. And you tell me which of these 5 fighters is an $80 pay-per-view for you. Which of these guys would you want to see David Benavidez fight on an $80 pay-per-view? I tell you Jesse Hart's next. And Jesse Hart's a good fighter. But is that a pay-per-view? Is Jesse Hart on the level of Beterbiev or Bivol? Is he on the level of Smith or Yard or Buatsi? Is he on the level of fucking Joe Smith? Is he on the level of Zerto before Zerto went to cruiserweight? He lost to Zerto twice, right, at 168. And then you got, of course, Kalajits, who Morrell beat. So Morrell beat this kid who had one fight 6 years ago where he surprisingly did very well. He lost, I think, but still did very well. And based on that success he had in losing a fight, he's been a name. And we know he's worked with the PBC. So it's very likely they're going to work with him again. Then you get this American, Dion Nicholson. He looks the part. Got a record, looks good, 21-1, 17 KOs. You know, you put him in front of David Benavidez. If he can talk a lot of shit, you got the whole race narrative going on there. I mean, even though people's never seen him fight before, people can act as if somehow this is a legitimate opponent for David Benavidez because he is ranked highly by the WBC, even though none of us have ever seen this kid fight before. Then, of course, you got Albert Ramirez, 20-0, 17 KOs, another Venezuelan fighter. We know fucking Venezuelan fighters. Records look great. But when you look closer, their resumes are shit. Never beat anyone, faced a bunch of cans, fucking overrated. And this is the perfect kind of PBC fighter we can expect David Benavidez to fight. And then, of course, you got a guy I like, Naji Lopez. Naji Lopez looks good, 13-0, 10 knockouts. Obviously a pro box fighter, looks good. Obviously real raw and still has a lot of things he can improve on, right? But out of all of these guys, potentially Naji Lopez is potentially the most legitimate fighter David Benavidez could fight. And you know pro box relationship with Turki Al-Sheikh is not good. So they would be more than willing, actually super eager to work with the PBC to make a fight between Naji Lopez and David Benavidez, which if you give Naji Lopez another couple fights, maybe have him fight one of these guys, a Jesse Hart, win him, and then maybe beat a Morrell, then that fight would be legitimate. Actually a fight that, I don't know if it's an $80 pay-per-view, but it'd be a fight that I would get behind and I would really support. But you tell me, we're all boxing fans. We love the sport of boxing. What does David Benavidez gain by now becoming the WBC email champion? Which of these opponents, and there's other opponents, but the other opponents are even less likely and less name than these guys. So they're not better names. I didn't duck potentially better potential opponents to try to pick the shittiest opponents available. I literally thought about who's really possibly somebody that the PBC could work with, has worked with, and justifiably could work with in the future. But you let me know. Who do you think, or who would you like to see David Benavidez fight out of all these guys listed right there in front of you? John, you tell me who you want to see. I know fucking you would love to see Hart or Nicholson or Lopez because obviously they represent, man. So they obviously are legitimate. And you'd be happy and stoked to spend $80 to watch that fight. Salute. Benavidez, a fucking joke. He ain't fooling me. Thank you very much, Drunk Irishman. PBC tricked me into thinking Thurman and King Kong Ortiz were good, but I never fell for the Wilder Spence shit. Nobody wants to see 3 of the same fight in a row, usually great trilogies spread out over a number of years. JA, the difference here is literally the fact that fucking Beterbiev is 41 years old. Now's the time. Benavidez is 28. He could fight Callum Smith, get a career high payday to hype up the fight between him and the winner. It wouldn't have been inappropriate. It wouldn't have been too much to fucking ask for. It would have been something very fucking legitimate. And people would have been excited about the possibility of seeing Benavidez fight in Saudi Arabia on the undercard against Callum Smith. And then getting in the ring and calling out the champion for potentially a fight that maybe would be done in the US. because we know Turkey ain't afraid of literally doing fights in America. But unfortunately, they don't even want to work with Turkey to potentially do that. They'd rather cut in line, force these guys to do something they know they weren't going to do, they were unwilling to do, and to win an email title. So now you got to live with your fucking consequences of your result. And your consequences are that fucking you've proven nothing. And literally you dug yourself a hole that you may not be able to dig yourself out of. Congratulations. You burying yourself. Enjoy that. Nicholson got knocked out by an old bum. American boxing is so shitty. And in truth, it doesn't have to be. There's a lot of great American fighters. But the problem is, if you're not going to fucking work with other promoters to make fights, and you're going to fucking act as if every fight is some pay-per-view fight, then you're fucking ruining the sport of boxing. Because 99% of these fights are not pay-per-view fights. David Benavidez has never been against one opponent that was really, truly a pay-per-view. Because when he fought fucking Plant, there was no world title on the line. Plant had already got knocked out by fucking Canelo Alvarez. Demetrius Andrade literally had never beaten anybody at 168 pounds. There was no title on the line. David Morrell was a fighter you should have fought at 168 for his WBA regular title. But you end up going up to 175 to fight him because you don't want to take a real opponent outside the PBC. I think he vacates the straps, moves up to cruiserweight, fights Zerdo. He ain't staying at 168, not when that trilogy fight's over. Do you see Stanionis a chance? You give Stanionis a chance, Sean? I give him a chance, and I'm going to obviously talk about that fight later this week as well. But I definitely favor Boots Ennis in that fight. He's much more versatile. But Stanionis is a good fighter, so I wouldn't look past him at all. I'd never thought I'd see the day Europe would have better boxing than the U.S. Fuck, imagine, right? Growing up, there was always the occasional good fight from the the U.K., right? And occasionally fights with some fighter in Africa, South Africa, and, occasionally a good fight in France or somewhere. But, you couldn't fucking compare it to America. There was no it wasn't even close. Now, UK dominates heavyweight boxing. Dominates. America is nowhere fucking in the rearview mirror. And because of that, American boxing fans really they got nobody really to support in boxing. Because we know if you don't have a great heavyweight, you don't have much to talk about. So much so that you're pushing David Benavidez because Mike Tyson fucking coined a phrase for him. Amero bums is going to be the new term now, laugh out loud. And it's fair because Americans fucking called Europeans Euro bums for fucking years, right? For years. So now calling them American bums, it's just karma. That's what you get, right? Like literally people criticize Canelo Alvarez for fighting two Euro bums, even though Plant obviously is an American, but he is white. So basically you could say he's a Euro bum. Yet when Andre Ward did it, nobody ever said fucking that statement because the energy was completely different. People were looking for a reason to fanboy and fucking build up Andre Ward's legacy. Whereas people were looking for a reason to shit on and downplay Canelo's legacy. But what Canelo did was something Andre Ward should have done and never did, becoming undisputed at 168. It's not Canelo's fault. Andre Ward fucking, what's the expression? Shit or get off the pot. Unfortunately, Andre Ward fucking, didn't do what he had to do and sort of didn't ruin his legacy, but never really accomplished what he should have done. He should have been the first undisputed. Was Roy Jones undisputed at 168? I can't remember. Was it 175, 168? But obviously, Andre Ward should have become undisputed. He should have. And then he should have also became undisputed at 175 by fighting Adonis Stevenson. But he didn't, again. Ward is probably the most hated boxer in the last 20 years. It's not that he's hated. It's just that the fact that some people use him and then have completely different energy. As I said, Ward fights Euro bums and he's praised. Canelo fights Euro bums and it's a criticism, right? Ward fucking all over social media shitting on fighters like fucking Golovkin and Canelo consistently. Yet both of them fucking were way more successful than Andre Ward, which makes him bitter. And that's the problem. He's fucking bitter and upset because he never really fucking sold to the American population, primarily black boxing fans who say that they love Andre Ward, they support him, but they didn't support him because the Kovalev fights did miserable pay-per-view numbers. That was his opportunity to get paid, but unfortunately, Black America didn't support him. Avician, Mean Machine, Postal, Horn would all be known as Eurobums if they were on Canelo's resume, but on Bud's, they're great wins. Well, that's not true. Actually, fucking PBC fanboys, Errol Spence fans, and just fucking now Canelo fans that are hating on Bud Crawford, they all shit on all those fighters. They don't give Crawford any respect for any of those wins. None of them, right? People literally act as if Crawford's fought nobody. I remember Ward fought someone in Oakland where he is from. I don't remember who, and I fell asleep. They have to pay to watch him. Yeah, and I ain't hating on Ward, but unfortunately, Ward had a style that was throwback. It wasn't really a style that was fun to watch. I liked, what's his face? Durrell, much more in the Super 6 tournament. He's a fighter I always liked, boxer puncher. Smooth, good boxing skills, great amateur pedigree, and great one fucking hitter-quitter power, right? Unfortunately, his career was ruined with that late punch from Arthur Abraham. I prefer watching Shakur than Ward. I prefer to fucking pass on both of them, to be honest. There's probably better fights on another network that I could watch. Ward is racist, bitter, pause. He always has some kind of bone to pick with Alvarez, even though they didn't campaign at the same time. But Ward will go out of his way to coach anyone fighting Alvarez. Even though it's funny that Ward could be racist because his dad's white. Durrell wasn't tough and he had no heart. Well, after the fact, that's the way things were because of that late punch with Abraham, right? But who knows how things would have been if things wouldn't have planned out that way. Americans overblow Ward's resume like it's some ATG resume. Yes, they do. New York recant, I think that was the Sullivan-Barrera fight. Ward put everyone to sleep that night. Well, and that was one of the 3 fights or 2 fights he got to build up for a Kovalev fight. But people act like Golovkin ducked him. So Ward coming out of retirement, fighting Callum Smith's brother at light heavyweight, and then signing a 3-fight deal, obviously the 3rd fight being with Kovalev, and then 2 build-up fights against mediocre competition to get in shape. So people act like he ducked Golovkin, but wouldn't he have done the same thing with Golovkin and forced Golovkin to let him have a few tune-up fights to get prepared for a Golovkin fight? Because at the time when Golovkin was a world champion and Kovalev was a world champion, people held Golovkin to a way higher esteem than Kovalev. There's talks about their sparring and how Golovkin fucking, was beating the crap out of Kovalev, right? So to act as if Ward was totally a diva, acting as if Ward needed 2 prelim fights to prepare for a Kovalev fight, but then Golovkin ducked him. But wouldn't he have said the same thing with Golovkin? I need 2 prelim fights before I get a Golovkin fight. That's the way it would have unfolded. And then he would have expected the fucking Golovkin fight to happen in Oakland. Right? Even though Canelo did what Golovkin did what he had to do, which was fucking chase a pound for pound pay-per-view superstar in Canelo Alvarez. So, he fucking laughed his way to the bank. And right now he's living in South Florida, jogging, fucking on the beach, running to Chris Algieri fucking chatting with him, saying he's looking in great shape, which is great because recently he's looked fat and out of shape. So maybe Golovkin is going to come back and have a comeback fight. Maybe he's going to try to fight his countryman, Janibek, or maybe Adames, or maybe Charlo, now that he's coming back and going to middleweight. We will see. Canelo saw Golovkin look shaky against Jacobs and fought him straight away after dropping the title, right, to duck him from the WBC. Ward sued Dan Goosen on his deathbed and lost. He lost those suits with Dan Goosen multiple occasions. The only reason he got out of that is because after Dan Goosen died, his brother said, "Go fuck yourself. Take your contract, shove it up your ass." Imagine 27-year-old GGG against 35-year-old Canelo. Imagine 27-year-old Golovkin versus 27-year-old fucking Canelo. Shout out to GG for saving the 2028 Olympics. See, that's another thing haters like John Boxing won't give him any credit for. This is a guy who truly loves boxing and literally put his energy towards saving boxing for the LA Olympics. If it wasn't for Golovkin and the people he was working with, there would be no boxing in the fucking 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, which would be terrible. Because the last time the Olympics was in fucking LA, America did great. And we will see if America does great this time. I hope they do. I hope America comes out and has tons of great amateurs that win gold medals, because it would be really fitting, right, to go back to LA and sort of relive that. They need, of course, the Olympic volleyball team to win a gold medal as well, because I was a big Karch Karai fan. So, I was all over that fucking Olympics. Shout out to GG. Shout out Golovkin. A man, a myth, a legend. But, overall, like I said before, I have no problem with Benavidez getting big fights. I would have liked to see Benavidez get a Canelo fight when Canelo agreed to work with Al Haymon in the PBC. That's when it seemed obvious that the fight would happen. But you got to put some blame on the PBC and Al Haymon, because they were unfortunately not able to fucking negotiate that fight and get it done, right? I would have loved to see Benavidez fight the winner of Bivol Beterbiev. But unfortunately, him cutting in line, doing what he's doing now, is just terrible. Because what the plan was, and you don't give a fuck, even though you had a statement basically saying that you do know and you respected it, only to fucking turn against it because your team told you to do it. Because this way you can get an email title. Yeah, that's going to work for you. Sean, is Alex Ovechkin a GOAT now? God, no. He's great, right? But how many Stanley Cups did Ovechkin win? I'm not sure, because I lived in Taiwan 20-something years, so I kind of missed his whole fucking career. But obviously passing Wayne Gretzky to be the goal leader in the NHL is significant, right? Super significant. But is he close to Wayne Gretzky's assist record? I don't think so. And did he ever have a season where he scored 100 goals in a year? I'm not sure. Maybe he did, but I'm not sure. It was funny, though, that he literally passed Gretzky's record on the exact same day, right? The exact same number of games that Wayne Gretzky created the record, right? I think it was 14,000, blah, 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 blah. And literally on the same day, Ovechkin scored the goal that put him past Gretzky. So that's pretty cool. I saw a great picture where it showed Gretzky and obviously Ovechkin when he was a rookie before he scored any goals, and they had, Ovechkin 0 goals in the NHL, and then Wayne Gretzky with that number. And then they just showed a picture now. Gretzky looks pretty good, even though he must be pretty old, like late 60s. I'm not sure, but probably, because I'm fucking late 50s. And then Ovechkin, fuck, man, he looks way older. The white hair, the baldness, wow. Time fucking flies, man. People, live your life, enjoy yourself, because life is fucking short. Are you aware that Goosen changed the native Italian last name from Gusiano to Goosen for marketing purposes? No. Don't get off, Sean. We want a 30-hour stream, H Money style. God, no. That's never going to happen. Sean, is the NBA the all-time scoring more significant than the MLB home run record? God, no. Shout out to the Islanders not booing him after Ovechkin broke the record They all cheered. Yeah, it's historic, right? Like, you can't be complete fucking haters. Like, that's a historical record. It happened in your stadium. So, you should give the guy his respect. Good morning. You talked bad about Sean Newton and me being favoring his content, and now you want his attention. Flip flopping always. Come on, Chicano U-turn. Why are you always beefing with everyone in the comment section? What things do I not see from other channels when you're participating on? Because apparently you're putting a lot of people's nose out of joint. I'm just saying. Is Ovechkin Russian? Yes. Russian. The Soviet Union. The Red Machine. Man, if you're old, remember fucking 1972 and fucking those early Russian teams. I remember when Russia came over and played Philadelphia Flyers with Bobby Clark and the boys after they became Stanley Cup champions. I love Bobby Clark. No teeth, fucking long hair, big smile. And fucking Philadelphia beat the fuck out of them so that Russia literally skated off the ice and fucking refused to play. Fucking Philly, man. They were monsters, beasts. That Billum Smith fight, I think it's going to be great. I think Glanton is a real good fighter, fun fighter. I would not be surprised if Glanton fucking flatlines Chris Billum Smith, right? But I think it's going to be a real fucking fun fight to watch. Smoke. Yes. I still remember 3 years ago when H Money cooked Newton on his live stream. Actually, he didn't cook me. How do you cook me when you're always on my lives? I'm really respectful. You're respectful. We had normal conversations, and I thought we had a cool relationship. So then I jump on your channel to give fucking some love to your channel, right? Because you were doing that to me. And then literally, you don't let me say a fucking word. You literally start fucking screaming at me, saying the most ridiculous shit ever. And literally, I'm just sitting there going, what's wrong with this guy? Like, people had always said he was mentally ill, but I always saw him on Beeb's channel, and then I saw him on my channel. And he was always respectful, and I never watched his stuff, so I never really understood why people said that. But literally, when I jumped in his channel, I totally saw fucking what people were saying. The guy's fucking mental. He's mental, and the people that literally go on his channel are fucking retards. All of them. I don't know how many people follow him, but literally, if you follow his channel and the kind of conversations they have, you're a fucking retard. Because there's no normal fucking conversation on this channel. It's a bunch of screaming, fucking scratching, fucking animals, fucking screaming over top of each other, not making any sense at all. It's fucking, who would listen to that? Literally, I've never listened to his channel again after that, because I'm like, fuck that guy. Why would I waste my time with a complete fucking degenerate retard? That's him. That dude needs to stay on his meds. That's all I'm saying. Anytime someone mentions the Soviet Union, I think Ivan Drago. Me too. Having a loud mic and putting people backstage and muting them isn't cooking. Exactly. H Money was bipolar, or is bipolar. H Money doesn't cook. He just outscreams everyone. Yeah, it's like the time I went on BFTB, and he's the same. And I'm like, fuck you. You're a fucking idiot. Idiot. Like, if you want to fucking have a normal conversation, we can. But if you just want to be a fucking complete fucking douchebag, again, go fuck yourself. I don't have time and energy to deal with fucking guys like him. Sean and Coach Malachi are LDBC hitmen. H Money show is the Royal Rumble, that's for sure. I did enjoy when H Money went off on Bill Haney, laugh out loud. I can't imagine Bill Haney going on his channel. Why would he fucking bother? H Money was riding hard for the dream in 2022. And now he's against him. Who, when you're bipolar, right? Who can fucking be surprised at anything you do? People are mental. Unfortunately, that's the problem with the YTBC. We don't really know who people are, and it seems like fucking a ton of them are fucking guys that unfortunately, aren't taking their meds. Mirage, you're one of them. John Boxing, I know you're listening. You're fucking another one. Tell your wife to let you take your meds because you need it. H Money, Haney. H Money is a racist troll channel of the YTBC. Yeah, like literally until I jumped on his channel and he did that, I never imagined that he was going to be such a fucking tool. But he is. And you can tell him I said that. Yeah, he even had a slogan, it's Haney time. My God, man. These dudes will bend over fucking and take it dry. Like, they're so ridiculous. Right, Mirage? Fuck, man. Like, these dudes, man, I hope you guys shave your ass because as much as you're taking it, whew, you might as well make it easy on yourself. You might as well make it easy on yourself because the things you do, holy fuck. A schooling would be what Newton did to Mr. Shelton, was Mr. Shelton decided to troll the live. Whatever happened to Mr. Shelton? And the other clown that fucking always hangs out in John Boxing's channel. It's kind of funny that John wants to criticize and call everyone a racist, yet he's got blatantly 4 or 5 people who consistently are on his channel that are blatant fucking racists. Every comment they say is racist. Yet John turns a blind eye to them and then will criticize my fucking comment section. Like literally today, we weren't even talking about Black American fighters. We were literally talking about David Benavidez and Canelo, right? There was no racial narrative at all, unless you're going to turn the PBC into a racial thing, which of course John did apparently. But yet criticizing the PBC has nothing to do with Al Heyman, because right now the guy running the PBC is fucking a fucking Latino guy. What's his name? Fucking what's his name? Cubano, Cubano. But like fucking literally, he ain't black. J-Dog was the name lowest of the low. J-Dog jumped on a few times, right? The old fart never came back. Mr. Shelton deleted his channel after you cooked him because he was so embarrassed. Really? Mr. Shelton is 78's most loyal hoe. Yes, Luis de Cuba. Thank you very much, Mr. T. Yes, de Cuba. I know there was a Cuba in there somewhere. Yeah, like he's literally the guy running the PBC right now, Luis de Cuba. All the conversations with promoters and fighters and potential fights, all going through Luis de Cuba. So if I'm hating on the PBC, obviously I'm hating on a fucking Latino guy because he's the one pulling the strings right now. Apparently Al Heyman is sick, right? And obviously is taking a step backwards to let other people control the PBC, which is probably why they only had 5 fights in 2024 until they put Luis de Cuba in charge. What is your opinion on Purser being the best man at John Boxing's wedding 2015? Huh? Probably spelling that wrong, but that's how his name is pronounced. No, I think it's close, but yeah. Cubis to Junior. You are the only one that's ever pushed that rumor. De Cuba Jr. Yeah. You know, I have no problem with the PBC. Actually, when they talked about potentially the PBC and Top Rank working together, I think it's good. I made a video praising them for doing it. I still question if it's actually going to be done and what fights are actually going to be made, because the PBC has a very terrible record fighting top ranked fighters. So if you want to ruin your stable completely, maybe that's a deal you fucking do. But I'm not against it at all. I think whenever you get more fights, it's the better. Make more fights. Me, a boxing fan, is happy. That's it. Stringer from above, at least Shelton didn't try to close the channel down like John. That's true. That's true. Even he wasn't a dick like that, but he did fanboy John Boxing for doing it, right? You really got to question some of these people and their mentality. People are just twisted, man. Mental cases. Like, for me, and I can't tell about other people, but for me, I love boxing. I love talking about boxing with people who love boxing, right? And that's it. I'll talk to anybody about boxing. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you, but I'm more than willing to talk to anybody as long as you're fucking respectful. Anybody can come on my channel, have conversations, give their opinions, whether I agree with it or disagree with it, no problem. Just don't be a fucking douchebag. And otherwise, no problem, right? Probably one of the only channels on YouTube that does that, to be fair. And unlike a guy like True School Sports, I'm not coming around claiming that I fucking invented fucking the wheel and I'm the one that's done this and I'm the one that's doing this and fucking gland handing and putting all this fucking praise on myself. I'm just a boxing fan, like everybody else that watches my channel. I'm not trying to be bigger than fucking I am. I'm not trying to be some fucking hoe to fucking a promoter. I'm not trying to dick ride a particular fighter. Obviously, there's fighters I like and I support more than others, just like anybody else. But that's it. At the end of the day, you make great fights. I'm going to be excited and happy and praise you for doing it. If you're a fighter that's getting tons of hype and you go out and you fucking prove yourself, I'm going to fucking give you your plaudits, your flowers, and say, great job. Maybe I don't really like you, but I respect what you're doing, i.e. Floyd Mayweather. Who would procreate with John? He looks like his breath smells like warm milk. Believe me, Shelton is a rat himself. True School hates on Bud big time now. True School just seems to hate on fucking everybody now except fucking Angelo Leo. I don't know why this guy is becoming so negative, right? So negative. You know, I don't get it, but, you know, it is what it is. Did you see YB's recent video on Wilder versus Hendon? Too funny. I didn't see it, but I will go check it out. I mean, the Wilder-Hendon fight's a fight that it's not even worth talking about because who cares about that fight? Is it a fight that's even something that boxing fans are interested in? I don't think so. And not to hate on Wilder, but literally he's fighting a complete fucking bum. A fighter that literally if anyone else fought, they would be roasted by guys like John Boxing for it. True School wants to criticize but not receive criticism. Well, that's the problem with the majority of these YouTube channels. They can put out criticism, but fucking they really are sensitive and can't really take it, right? They will say all kinds of whack out shit, fucking, you know, and then once anyone disagrees with them, they get in their feelings, right? That's all of them. Tons. I don't know too many channels that aren't like that. Boxing Wave, I will give him praise. He's pretty cool. As far as, you know, I don't know how much criticism I threw at him, but, you know, I've watched him for a long time. So I must have threw out statements and stuff that he disagreed with that were critical of something he said. I suppose I must have. I just can't think about it. Young Billy Boxing. I just, you know, if you're on YouTube or on social media, you got to have a fucking thick skin because you get all kinds of trolls fucking commenting on your fucking hair, commenting on anything they can be critical of. If you don't go on camera, then they're critical because you don't go on camera, right? That's like IBFP and other guys that never go on camera and literally fucking people talk about it all the time as if somehow you need to go on camera. There's a lot of very successful YouTube channels that never show who they are and fucking make tons of money off of YouTube content. So you can put your face on it or you can avoid it. Who knows what's the best remedy, right? Obviously, by putting your face in, you can relate to people more because they actually know who you are. But does it make you more successful? I don't know if it does or if it doesn't, right? I mean, Julius from Ring IQ, most of his best videos are the ones that he's not on, right? The ones he's edited. His lives, I would say, are his worst videos because they're unscripted and obviously don't flow as well as his scripted, edited videos, which are entertaining and well done. True School blocked me a week ago just because I said he would fit right in with the LDBC the way he pushes narratives nowadays. Well, I expect that he's probably going to block me sometime soon as well. Because when you come out and just consistently have Sean Porter type of fucking takes all the time, people are gonna fucking question you and be critical of you. If you're sensitive, then you're gonna block people, right? Lily's the one on my channel that blocks people, and unfortunately, she's a lazy bitch, so no one ever gets blocked. But I tell her, block a motherfucker. Do it. Do it. Use your paw and press that button. But she's like, fuck that shit. I don't even know what they're saying. It's funny, dude called himself billionaire boxing, but made pennies on YouTube. Well, people hope to project, right? If you put out positivity and good energy, hopefully it will come back. Alan R is a white devil. Ring IQ is a huge weirdo. Why is he a weirdo? His boxing takes are pretty good for the most part. His videos that he puts out that are scripted and edited are excellent. They should get far more fucking push than they do, in truth. Unfortunately, he probably shouldn't do boxing videos because boxing is limited, right? There's only so many fans globally that watch and support boxing. He is a delusional AJ fanboy. Ring IQ. Are you okay, Alan? An AJ fanboy. I don't know if I've ever seen anything from Ring IQ that would make me feel that he is a AJ fanboy. It'd be probably more closer to fact to call me an AJ fanboy than him. So I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe you've seen something that I've missed. But if I was to say any fighter that Ring IQ is a fanboy of, and honestly, I don't know who it is. I know he's really been supporting Canelo Alvarez more recently than he did before. Outside of some women boxers, I would say he's more of a fanboy for women boxing than he is for a particular fighter. Dude literally got mad at me because I criticized AJ. Well, what did you say? Maybe you said something stupid and deserve criticism. People say stupid shit all the time. Ring IQ, like many people, he can be very sensitive. That's why he made a video attacking me, because he didn't like a comment that I left on his channel. I don't know what it was about. I can't remember. But, people are sensitive, and some days you're just in a bad mood and you're more hypersensitive than other times. So I don't know the context, so I can't comment. But I've never really seen him fanboy for AJ. Anybody watch Ring IQ? Have you ever seen him fanboy for AJ? Ring IQ has greatly covered women's boxing. Yeah, that's his go-to. He, if True School Sports is America's Japanese boxing channel, then I would say that Ring IQ is America's women's boxing channel. Who was the guy that used to do lots of small weight boxing fights and really focus on Japanese boxing? A young looking white kid, and really was into Japanese boxing, had a lot of good contacts and information. But I don't know what happened to his channel, because I never see his content anymore. He kind of disappeared. But he was always talking about Inui, Roman Gonzalez, Estrada, Ken Shiro, and all the small fighters, with me and True School Sports and that kid. Was there an English guy as well that used to always talk? Was he English? Maybe he's English. Maybe he is English. Punch Perfect Boxing. Well, there's Punch Perfect Boxing. He's the English guy, right? But then there was another guy as well that was doing it. Or am I just mistaking Punch Perfect? And maybe it was always him. Now he doesn't really talk about the small weight classes nearly as much. But yeah, Punch Perfect. Obviously, he's always talked about the small weight fighters a lot as well. I don't mind his content. It's not bad. But he definitely can up. What do you call video games when you up something? I'm old. I just see it referenced in Netflix movies and anime. Up something. What can you do? I can also up something. But yeah, I only watch one channel for my boxing intake. I don't have time for nonsense. Laugh out loud. Unrivaled Boxing was another good channel. Too bad it left the YTBC. Was Unrivaled the Irish guy? I liked him, but he's another guy that was pretty emotional, right? A guy that was really sensitive with other people's feelings. I think obviously that's why he left boxing. I heard he was doing something once in a while, jumping on or doing something else. But yeah, Mark. Yeah, it's a shame. Mark was a good boxing fan, right? I loved when him and Ring IQ were going back and forth with the Ioka, what's his face? Who's the other Japanese fighter? Uh, and Mark was picking Ioka, and Ring IQ was picking the other guy. And of course, Mark was correct, as I was as well. To be honest, 6 or 7 years ago, I didn't know shit about the lightweights. I started learning thanks to you, Ring IQ, and True School. Yeah, I mean, I never understand why people would limit Tanaka, Toy. Yeah. I never really understand why people would limit a sport that they love. Like, I grew up and I love basketball. So I knew every single player on every single fucking NBA team. I followed the NBA draft like crazy. If I would have only been doing that shit on YouTube back then, if there was YouTube and I would have got on it earlier, it would have been huge. It would have been way better for me to have went in that direction. And because I loved the NBA and basketball, I love college basketball, NCAA. When fucking high school basketball, thanks to LeBron James, started showing games on fucking ESPN, I loved watching high school basketball. Like, I don't understand that you're a fan of a sport, but then you want to limit potentially what you watch, which is going to potentially not allow you to see some of the best fighters in the sport of boxing. Like, what kind of stupidity is fucking that? That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Or only supporting fighters that come from your country. Me being Canadian, or fucking, drunk Irishmen being Irish. If we only supported fighters from our countries, fuck, man, we'd never watch boxing. Or we'd have fucking very little that we could fucking be proud of and excited about. Right? Him more than me, but nonetheless, luckily for Canada, I get a lot of immigrant fighters that represent, just like my track and field team. But like, as a boxing fan, I don't care where someone comes from. If they're fucking super exciting, then I'm excited to watch them fight. If they don't speak English, I don't fucking care. If Inui never has an English interview, why would I care? I don't really want to listen to fucking boxers talk because most of them don't have anything worth listening to say, right? I want to see them fight, not talk, fight. Go in there, beat the fuck out of somebody, be super exciting. That's all I need to know. Go up, collect your belt, say thank you to the fans, and then fucking walk out of the ring. I never have to listen to anything you say. I don't need to fucking see a tweet from you on social media. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to like you more because you fucking tweet something on fucking X. Actually, it might be the opposite. I might fucking like you less because I think you're a fucking clown. Right? People are mental, man. Mental. I still don't watch lower weights much. I'm a self-admitted semi-hardcore because they don't love the sport more than they love certain fighters. I don't get that though, because if you watch certain fighters, you should grow to love the sport, right? We all fucking started watching boxing because of one fighter, right? And because of our passion for that fighter, we became interested in all kinds of fighters. I was a Ali fan because my dad and grandfather. Then I became a Leonard fan, right? Real Leonard fan. And because I was a Leonard fan, then you're reading Ring Magazine. You're looking at all the fight results. You're looking at the fucking rankings. You don't even know who these fucking guys are. Fucking Galaxy, some guy from fucking Thailand, other fucking guys, Moon Young from fucking Korea. Who knew who these fucking dudes were? But my interest was piqued. I wanted to know who they were. I wanted to see because their results were fucking great. Knocking motherfuckers out left, right, and center. I had to get to know who they were. I had to see them. And luckily now with YouTube, you can go back and watch all those fights now. Sometimes the quality is shit, but at least we get it now, whereas we didn't get it back then. What's the best channel that covers little weights only? Only? I don't think there's any channel that only covers little weights only. Bivol ducked Benavidez. Yeah. Benavidez ducked Undisputed. So, weigh your poison. What's a worse take? Dropping a WBC title from a fucking corrupt organization or fucking ducking Undisputed? Legacy. You literally ducked Legacy to fucking be emailed the title. Congratulations, you're the new owner of the WBC email title. Send. Wow, you could print that shit out, fucking hang it on your wall. Man, get all your friends to take pictures in front of it. Whew. Congratulations. Man, you're a big boy now. One thing with YTB selective hypocrisy outrage. At least with the lower weights, the best fight the best more often than the other weights. They don't cry about money. They don't cry about money, and the fights are fucking full on. What was the fight we just saw recently? Ken Shiro versus Akui. If you guys didn't see that fight, go watch it. It's on YouTube. Ken Shiro Akui. That fight is easily the best fight of 2025 so far. What a fucking war. That fight is great. Great. Who says little weights? For me, it was Mike Tyson who started my interest in boxing. So weird how Knockout Boxing 866 TV actually watched and knows his lower weight classes, but hides it from his casual followings because he made videos talking about it and they didn't care. They didn't watch. And then he saw what all these other channels do, push racism and fanboy black fighters and only fucking dick ride them. And he saw that that was the way to success. So he capitalized on it. And now he just does that. No fucking integrity at all. No, none at all. But if you're happy cashing the checks, okay. I'm happy for you too. I'm glad you're getting paid. That ducking point would hit a little harder if he wasn't fighting the guy that ran David out of 175 when he blew the weight and got elevated to number one status. I came in late. How did Benavidez duck Undisputed? He ducked Undisputed because he could have worked with Turki Al-Sheikh, took a Callum Smith fight on the undercard of the trilogy, got paid a career-high payday, and been guaranteed a fucking undisputed unification fight with the winner. Went into the ring, called him out, did a face-off, talked some smack, hyped the fight up, and it would have been better for boxing as a whole. Now he's going to be the WBC email champion, and he's cost himself millions of dollars, an opportunity for Undisputed, a potential Canelo Alvarez fight. There's no winning. There's no winning. All he can say is now, like Tank Davis, I'm a two-way champion. Oh, congratulations. You also fucking got an email title, Tank Davis, because you never forced the WBA to make a Devin Haney fight with you. So you got a belt you never earned. Congratulations. How much fucking respect do you want? Kenso versus who? Ken Shiro versus Akui. Ken Shiro, you can go down. He's like 112-pound champion right now, unified. He just unified against Akui, A-K-U-I. And that fight was fire. Fucking fire. Great matchup. It kind of exposed Ken Shiro to a little bit because Ken Shiro really struggled with the Akui fighter that he moved up in weight to challenge. Obviously, Ken Shiro was a 3-belt unified champion at 108, moved up to 112 to become a 2-weight world champion, and then unified with his countryman in a great fight. But really, stylistically, he went away from boxing now that he's gotten older and has become much more of an aggressive fighter, which is super fun to watch, but he gets hit fucking way more than he used to get hit. Before, he really was a smart boxer, in and out, behind a jab, good left to the body, good right hand. He would fucking control range and break you down and not necessarily knock you out. Won a lot of fights going the distance because he wasn't flat-footed trying to fucking beat guys up. But now he's gotten older, he's more flat-footed, and his fights are fucking exciting. But he also gets hit a lot. They're talking about him moving up to try to fight Bam Rodriguez at 115 to become a three-weight world champion, especially if Bam becomes a unified champion. Then Ken Shiro could become a three-weight unified champion, which is fucking legacy, right? He's not just jumping through divisions, getting one title. He's literally unifying against other champions. But I think at this point, if he moves up and tries to fight that style against Bam Rodriguez, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. Drunk Irishman, Canelo Benavidez' ship has sailed and sunk. Well, it has now, that's for sure, because Turkey literally said he was going to try to make that fight for Benavidez. All the things that Turkey was helping and trying to do for Benavidez. And then Benavidez fucking pissed on his shoes and fucking walked away and done complete opposite. Thanks. I'm going to watch it later. Watch it. It's great. You won't be disappointed. Benavidez was never going to fight Bivol, even if he had fought Cam Smith. He still wouldn't fight Bivol afterwards, bitching about fighting in Vegas and not working with Turkey. Well, that's the problem, right? We know he was never intent on making the fights. That's what's been exposed. Because if he wanted the fight, he would have done that. He would have got paid millions of dollars to fight Smith to push the undisputed fight between him and Bivol. But he'd rather get an email title and fight a bunch of bum-ass fucking in-house PBC opponents to defend it on pay-per-view. Fights that nobody is going to be excited about. Nobody is going to fucking push except for fucking PBC fanboys who never pay for the fights. They just act like they're fucking fantastic. Lowest he watches was 135 when narrative started at that weight class. Sean, what's the name of the halfback, half Japanese fighter at 140? Hiroto? Where's my phone? What's his name? What's his name? Huh? What are you doing, phone? Stop fucking around. Where is he? Andy Hiroka. Now the number one mandatory for Gary Russell's title. There's a few Japanese fighters now in mandatory positions, right? You got the guy chasing the welterweight WBO title, Jin Sasaki, who is now mandatory for that fight with the top ranked guy. Obviously, Hiroka, who's now mandatory for Gary Russell's title, right? Obviously, Hiroka beat Jin Sasaki before at 140, knocked him out. So that's a good win for him, especially if Sasaki can become a champion. I don't think he can because he gets hit way too much. But, you know, Canelo never had interest in fighting Benavidez. You say that, but the reality is if Benavidez became undisputed at 175 and then Turki Al-Sheikh was hyped to push that fight like he said he was, it would be a similar situation where Canelo Alvarez would say, there's too much on the table not to take the fight. Literally, there's more reason for him to fight Benavidez for the undisputed light heavyweight title for $100 and something million than Bud Crawford. Because Crawford literally brings nothing to the table outside of name recognition. It's funny when Gigi or Loma win a vacant title, you say nothing, bro. What vacant title did GGG win? Remind me. And when Lomachenko won a vacant title against Kambosos, right? The whole reality is this isn't the first time Lomachenko was champion at lightweight. It was his second, third. He was a unified champion where he beat champions to win all those titles. Do you forget that, Damon? He didn't move up in a weight and win a vacant title. When he beat Gary Russell was the number one fighter to get that belt, right? He beat Gary Russell, who went on to then fucking be the longest reigning champion in the division. Then he moved up to 130 and beat a champion in Martinez. Then he moved up, of course, to 135, fought Petraza, Linares, and fucking, who was the other one? Oh, then the other one was for a vacant title when he fought Campbell, because Mikey Garcia ducked him to go fight fucking Errol Spence. Not his choice. It's not his fault Mikey Garcia ducked him. But okay, Damon. If it's up to Bivol to choose to be a champion and defend the title, it's not Benavidez' fault. Congratulations, the new champ. See, once again, Damon, you're the one that's being inconsistent, because I can probably show you several examples of the same thing where you would fucking be critical of people winning an email title. But okay. Long time. It's me, Alonzo. Hope all is well. Gigi and Loma live in your head rent free. Fucking with all these fucking Black American trolls, fucking Golovkin and Gigi live rent free in their heads, right? They hated the fact that non-Black fighters were dominant. Hated it. And the same reason why they fucking hate on Inui right now. The same reason they hate on Canelo, right? It's comprehensible for them that a fighter can be great, elite, dominate the sport of boxing, dominate weight divisions, and not be a Black American. Because their small perspective of the world is the only people that can be elite must be Black, even though that's a diluted fucking perspective. But okay, if that's your perspective, it's the way you think. Good on you. Sean, didn't Canelo float 150 million in his price to fight David? That's called pricing yourself out. But actually, he's getting $100 million to fight Bud Crawford. So did he price himself out? Ask yourself that question. Sasaki can crack, but he's sloppy as hell. He might beat Barrios, but Stan and Boots destroy him. I agree. But then I also think Howard? How come I always say his name wrong? Who's the WBO champion? Top ranked guy? For some reason, I always say Howard, but I know his name's not fucking Howard. What's his fucking name? I think he looked real good in his last fight, and I think he destroys him as well. Turkey said he hopes one day he can convince Canelo to fight Benavidez. Exactly. He said that, right? He showed you his intent to make great fights in boxing. And instead of working with him to make great fights, you choose to fuck shit up. Literally, that's what you did. You choose to fuck shit up, just like Tank Davis did, right? PBC fighters like Tim Tszyu did. These PBC fighters consistently are trying to fuck shit up, like they always have. And at this point, they always will. Which implies he's spoken to Canelo about the fight and got told not to make it. Well, not to make it, no. I think you're over-exaggerating, but okay. Cambosis and Hitchens, who you got? Hitchens. Benavidez already said he won't fight on DAZN, even if it's against Canelo. He is loyal to Al and the PBC. He said the fight would have to be in Vegas in the PBC. See? These guys always say that, right? It's the same way Plant fucking needed Canelo to go over to the PBC to fight him for Undisputed. But unfortunately for Benavidez, he got no fucking leverage. Zero, zilch, nada. Except now he's got an email title, and that's going to be the whole difference. Now Canelo Alvarez is going to be like, oh, okay, yes, king. They would love to hate on Usyk as well. They just don't have any Black American heavyweights to ride on. Exactly. They tried to hate on him by saying he ducked fucking Wilder. Okay. And after Wilder got knocked out by fucking the Chinese fighter and beaten by Parker, they were still hoping that Usyk should fight him. Why would he fight him? Some dude that lost twice in a row. Good luck with that. Fury and Usyk made $100 million each for the fight. They can't cash cow for boxing, ask for $150 million. Exactly. Read the other half of the comments. I did, and I ignored it. And actual boxing live. Norman Jr. Yes, that's him, Norman. I always say fucking Howard. Fury asked for $500 million to fight Usyk. Did he price himself out? No, he was just negotiating a higher pay and got over $100 million. Exactly. Right? But these guys are so fucking entrenched and trying to find a way to be critical of Canelo Alvarez, to fanboy for fighters who literally have done fucking nothing. It's okay that you would like a fighter you support to get a big matchup. I'm not against you doing that. But when you completely lie and fucking push false narratives, it becomes fucking a little too much. You're going to dick ride everything Newton says, bro. You know I'm right. He only calls certain guys email champs. Let's call them all email champs. There's a difference between being a guy that fights for a vacant title and a guy that forces for an email title, right? If you don't understand the clear difference in that, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Stop with the homo talk, homie. This ain't Drew Titan's channel. Oh, another reason not to watch Drew Titan. When you get a belt without fighting for it, it makes you an email champion genius. Not fighting for a vacant title, there's a difference. Wayne Evans broke it for you. When you fight somebody who's another high contender for a vacant belt, you're now winning a vacant title. It's still not the same as beating a champion, but at least you fought someone to earn a belt that was vacated. When you were gifted a title, and don't fight anyone, it's an email title. It was something that was sent to you on your computer or on your phone. So you can now look at it and go, Dad, I'm a champion. Woo! Fury had no interest in fighting Usyk either. Cock rebel. Cheers. A little early in the morning for you guys to be drinking, but for me, it's 9:30, so it's perfect time. 9:30 at night. But, yes, as I said, I would have loved to see Benavidez get an opportunity to fight for Undisputed. But he's the one that didn't want it. If he wanted it, what he would have done is actually stay in Saudi Arabia, watch the fight, go in the ring, fucking face Bivol, hyped up people for the potential fight between the two of them, sat down with Turkey Sheik afterwards, right? Hashed out fucking the plan. This is what we're going to do. You're going to fight Callum Smith on the undercard of the third fight in October. That shit's going to be huge. Imagine the card. Bivol better BF trilogy number 3. You, Callum Smith, fucking under that. Dynamite, right? Huge, right? This shit's going to be fire. And then you, if you beat Smith in a money fight where I'm going to pay you way more money than you've ever earned before, are now going to get a chance to fight for Undisputed. And if you win that fight, you can do a rematch if the fight was competitive. And if you win the fight easily, all the better. Then fucking we can try to get that Canelo Alvarez fucking super fight, right? Which will be dynamite. Everybody will be pushing for it. Canelo Undisputed 168, just beat Bud Crawford. You Undisputed 175, just beat Dimitri Bivol. Fucking hugest thing in boxing. But what you chose to do was say, no, I'm a superstar. I don't want to fight in Saudi Arabia. I want to fight in Vegas. I represent the PBC. No, I can't cross over. I respect Al Heyman and the WBC. Okay, good. So now you're an email champion. Congrats. With an email title and $5, you can buy a coffee at Starbucks. So enjoy that. Good morning. What's up, Leva? When it comes to David Benavidez, so many obstacles. I think Bud, there's no obstacles. He creates the obstacles. He could have fought fucking Plant for Undisputed. His team created a fucking obstacle. He could have fought Zerto. His team created an obstacle. He could have fought Callum Smith. his team created an obstacle. I think Bud will beat Canelo on the cards. Shalom. Benavidez always has to jump through hoops, but not anybody else. Young Guns, what fucking hoops? This is a guy that lost his title. He fucking lost his title. The reason he didn't get a Canelo Alvarez fight is because his fat ass didn't make weight. That's it. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. He would have already got an opportunity to face Canelo Alvarez. But unfortunately, his fat ass couldn't make weight, which he ended up staying at the weight fucking well afterwards, right? All fucking clout chasing Canelo Alvarez. Now you go up to fucking 175, Turkey Al Sheikh, the guy with all the money, lays out the plan for you, which means legacy, money, fucking the future. Man, beautiful. But what do? You say, go fuck yourself. I'm with Al Heyman. I want that email title. And there's hurdles. The PBC, the fucking quintessential promoter that puts up hurdles. I can't fight Bud Crawford. He's on the wrong side of the road. I can't fight Manny Pacquiao. He won't do fucking Olympic-style drug testing. The PBC only puts up hurdles. That's what they're known for. Al Heyman, the fucking hurdle man. That guy was a fucking Olympic hurdler before he became an Olympian, a lawyer, and tried to rob fucking Beyonce, steal money off of her. But yes, we have faith in Al Heyman. Canelo is a joke. Can't wait till he moves on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Benavidez hate is unreal. Benavidez hate is unreal. But yet you're going to say, can't wait till Canelo fucking leaves. Canelo, who's done so much more at 28 years old than David Benavidez has. David Benavidez is never going to fucking accomplish nearly as much as Canelo Alvarez. But keep fucking capping for him. Like sometime you're fucking supporting the horse that's going to win the race. Like you guys are like the stupid blind motherfucker that goes to the track and picks fucking the horse that fucking has a crutch, is hobbling, fucking one eye is missing, but because he's blind, he don't even see it. And then he puts all his money on that horse and fucking time after time after time again, he consistently loses. But fucking is the biggest yapper in the fucking stands. No money in his pocket, no wins in his belt, but he's the guy that never fucking stops fucking talking. That's you guys. You always bet in the wrong horse. Keep it up. You are already here with your Kulo accounts. Shake my head. It wasn't trying to weight bully. Missing weight wouldn't have been an issue. Exactly. Why wasn't Bivol giving a whole year almost to defend his spot? His Mando came around quickly. That's the point, Damon. The WBC is purposely trying to fuck him. They're the same fucking promoter that said they wouldn't make the Undisputed fight because he was Russian and they didn't want a Russian fighting for their title. So that's the whole point, Damon. That's what we're trying to say. And then they leapfrog the IBF, who literally has position in front of them, all to fucking jam David Benavidez into this position to fuck up Turkey's plan for a trilogy. That's the whole point. Fucking these douchebags consistently are fucking up the sport of boxing and then whining and moaning and have these fans on fucking social media capping for them. Yet you can't fucking see what's right in front of your face. And we've seen it time and time and time fucking again. This is not the first time we've seen the PBC pull this shit. And it won't be the last. But, okay. To give up a title you work so hard to get is still bitch behavior. No, because he's fighting a guy that's fucking a way more proven fighter, a pound for pound fighter, and he's getting paid fucking way more money. So why would you fucking fight Benavidez? But the WBC is fucking corrupt and they know what they're doing. And so did David Benavidez. He wanted the email title. And people have been telling you that fucking for months now. I just wanted David to get his shot and Canelo refused to let it happen. If you wouldn't have lost your title because your fat ass couldn't make weight, we would never be having this conversation, would we? Let's not take responsibility, though, for the way we fucking were unprofessional and didn't fucking take care of our careers properly, right? Let's ignore that and always blame someone else. Let's play the victim consistently because that's what many of you guys are good at, playing the victim all the time. Right, young guns? Victim mentality. You know what's going to happen next. Bivol beats Beterbiev in a trilogy. Then his next fight will be a soft touch because he'll say he deserves a break coming off of 3 fights with Beterbiev. Well, at this point, he definitely won't be fighting Benavidez. Why would he? Benavidez just pulled this shit. You think fucking Turkey and those guys are going to fucking work with him now? Fuck no. That's why I said he hurt himself. He cost himself money and legacy. He ducked Undisputed, right? We know what Bivol's going to do. Bivol's going to fight his IBF mandatory next, right? Because the IBF is going to push that mandatory in front of us. Turkey's going to say, fine, we will fight for that one because we don't have to pay that clown too much money. And then what we're going to do next is fight Canelo Alvarez in the fucking rematch. And Benavidez is going to be sitting there fighting fucking, bum-ass opponents on fucking PBC pay-per-view. Bivol's going to rematch fucking Canelo Alvarez in a huge global event. And people are going to say, how come Canelo's ducking fucking Benavidez? How come Bivol doesn't want to unify and fight for Undisputed versus David Benavidez? Because they don't fucking need him. Because he don't want to play ball, so he can go fuck himself. That's why. And then after he fights Canelo, he's going to go up to one cruiserweight and try to become a 2-weight world champion by facing the winner of Zurdo and J.O. Pataya. And then David can try to take over the light heavyweight division, fighting nobody. Whoa, congratulations. Your career has fucking bottomed out huge. Excellent. Good job. What a fucking master stroke that was. Another great PBC maneuver. Beterbiev will just retire. Yeah, he will. He made $30 million in his last 3 fights. At that point, of course, he's going to retire. He's going to say, later. Beterbiev deserves the trilogy. They're 1-1, and he doesn't have time on his hands. Exactly. He's 41 years old, man. Let's get this shit out of the way. And Benavidez is 28. He could fight Callum Smith for fucking $5 million. He will just get robbed again. Benavidez is a fraud. Facts. He's going to go fight Jesse Hart. Yeah, that's exactly who he's going to fight. Let's go back and fucking show. These are the fighters you can look forward to David Benavidez fighting on the PBC on pay-per-view. Fucking Jesse Hart. Fucking Kalajits. Dion fucking Nicholson. Albert Ramirez. And maybe if we're lucky, Naji Lopez. Naji Lopez is the only one here that's even remotely interesting. But he's way too raw at this point. But those are the potential opponents David Benavidez is going to fight. So ask yourself, was this the fucking direction to go? This is what Tank Davis and the PBC do, though. They would prefer to fight bum-ass opponents on pay-per-view and take no risk at all. And then fucking continue to say, Canelo's ducking me. Bivol's ducking me. Everyone's ducking me. I'm the Mexican monster. Okay. Congratulations. That's going to work out good for you. More power to you. If Benavidez' career going the Boo Andrade route, that's the direction they're moving. That's the direction they're moving. David is doing more for his career at 75 than at 168, which is a dead division. Which division is dead? 168? Really? When Bivol moves up, Beterbiev retires. There's nothing at 175. Luckily, some of the fighters from 168 may move up and bring some regeneration to the division. But like literally all the potential top fighters are at 168. You might not like Berlanga, but he's got name recognition, something David Benavidez could definitely fucking do with. Munguia, name recognition, something Benavidez definitely could do with. And then, of course, Pacheco. the future, right? Like literally, who's he going to fight at 175? I just showed you the most likely opponents for him. You go tell me what opponents are more likely. Don't say fucking Anthony Yard, Callum Smith, or Buatsi, because chances are none of those fighters are going to fight him. You can say Bumlanga and Bum Munguia, but those are bigger name opponents than anybody that David Benavidez has fought. That's why Caleb Plant is chasing both of them, because he knows those are bigger opponents than anyone else he could fight at 168. But keep telling yourself that. Who's fucking he fought? Andrade, bum, Plant, chasing after those guys, and fucking Morel, a fucking Cuban. That's worked out well for you. Keep up the good work, because that shit is paying fucking dividends. What about Brown, the black Olympian, who was Errol Spence's USA teammate? He's a PBC at 175. Brown hasn't fucking fought forever. He's not even ranked. He's irrelevant. It looks like he's retired. PBC fighter. Imagine a PBC fighter who's not doing anything. Sure, Brown could potentially be a great opponent, but he's not a big fucking seller, right? The best fight he had was when he got knocked out by Benavidez. So once again, you can fight Benavidez's leftovers. Maybe you could get Joe Smith out of fucking, out of the closet, bring him back down from cruiserweight to 175. He's got some name recognition in America. But literally, come on. Bruno Sarachi is king at 168 right now. Ryder, his knee pads early this morning. Really, Andrade, you were the same guy who said Benavidez was ducking Morel. Yet when he schools him, all I hear is how inexperienced Morel is. Well, the reality is, people are asking fucking David Benavidez when he's being tied together with Morel at 168 to fight him. He chose to not fight him, to fight Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, a fighter who never had a successful fight, not really, against anybody legitimate at 168. Understandably so. Andrade had more name recognition, but the pay-per-view still did fucking dog shit. Canelo Berlanga did 400, 500 pay-per-view buys. Canelo versus Benavidez blows that out of the water. Sure. But 400,000 or 500,000 pay-per-view buys is way more than fucking Benavidez has ever done in any of his 3 pay-per-views. If he fights Berlanga, he would do the highest pay-per-view buys of his career. Marcus Brown. Berlanga just beat down a short order cook. Yeah. It don't matter who he's beating. As long as he keeps his name relevant, people don't like him, that makes him marketable. You can fucking hate him, despise him, think he's a fucking loudmouth prick. I think he is. But the reality is him and fucking Munguia, if those guys fought, that pay-per-view would do bigger numbers than any fight David Benavidez had. Fucking 100%. Bigger than Plant, bigger than Andrade, bigger than fucking Morel, bigger than fucking Jesse Hart when that fight gets made. I don't care about any of that. The dude is trash inside the ring. That didn't stop David Benavidez from fighting trash fighters his whole fucking career. Outside of 2024, when he fought Plant on Andrade, his whole career was fucking filled with trash. The dude, literally, his nickname shouldn't be fucking Mexican Monster. It should be the Trash Man, because that's what he fought his whole career. He was a 2-time champion and fucking didn't fight anybody. He ducked all the unification fights, didn't try to fight any other champions, literally ducked a Caleb Plant fight. And we all heard that video from his fucking manager. Why do you Canelo dick riders always getting on Benavidez? He fought Canelo's work for him, Andrade and Morel. 2 fighters Nello was too afraid to fight. Damon, once again, you fucking expose yourself as being fucking an idiot. Morel was never fucking anybody's fucking boogeyman. He's a Cuban fighter that had 10 or 11 professional fights, never fought one top 10 opponent in his fucking career. People liked his upside and thought that he could do something. but he hadn't done anything. And as far as Andrade, a guy who never fought a world champion in his fucking whole career, never, never fought a fucking champion. Every belt he won was a vacant title. And then when he faced the world champion, he got knocked the fuck out. See, you don't have the same energy for literally David Benavidez' best opponent, Caleb Plant. How come Plant no longer had a world title when David Benavidez fought him? Oh, yeah. He got fucking knocked out by Canelo Alvarez. Oh, that's why. Because Canelo did what Benavidez didn't do, but should have done. Fought Plant for unification. Canelo was afraid of doo-doo. Yeah, because he would never have knocked him out. Young Guns, salute to you, Sean, but you'll have David pound for pound soon. Not with the guys he's going to fight, I won't. How am I going to put a guy fighting Jesse Hart on a pound for pound list? Do, 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 dee, do, do. What's the police song? A do, 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 a da, da, da. Andrade is poo, poo, poo. A do, 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 a da, da, da. Andre is poo, poo, poo. Only fucking True School Sports and Punch Drunk Boxing fanboy for that guy, which tells you everything you need to know. Dude is a 34-year-old prospect not doing Canelo work, son. Shake my head. Ha ha ha. Clout chasers are now someone's work. Comical. We need the clip of Sean singing that. Oh no, we don't need that. We don't need that. Who was the guy that was just on IBFP's channel? Was it IBFP? Some guy was like mocking and ridiculing people in the live chat. He could sing. That kid was a good singer. But that's not me. Even Julius not a bad singer. Mark was a good singer, right? That's why those guys like to use the opportunity to fucking sing. Me, yes. You're never going to hear me really sing anything. Not much. Damon, let's be honest. We can all say that we would have liked to see Canelo fight Andrade. Yeah. I would have liked to see Canelo fight Benavidez. Sure. Even maybe Canelo versus Morrell. But imagine how much praise Canelo would get for fighting Morrell. He would get probably exactly the same fucking praise as he's getting for fighting Munguia and Berlanga. None. Zero. Zilch. He could fight Mbili, Pacheco, fucking Alicius Iglesias, right? He could fight any of those top young up-and-coming fighters at 168. People are not going to give him any fucking credit at all. And if he fights Benavidez, they're going to say Benavidez was just a hype job. He'd never beaten anybody. Because he hasn't. His best win is Caleb Plant. No one ducked Andrade. Stop it. Prime Gennady mops the floor with boo-boo. Oh my God. Come on. Gennady Golovkin's jab would be fucking the undoing of Demetrius Boo-Boo Andrade. A guy who after fucking 7 rounds fucking fades away. Sure, in the first 5-6 rounds, maybe he'd have some success with his length and his jab and his movement. But that fight was going to end bloody and on the canvas for that guy. Doo-doo ducked like no other, but somehow was the boogeyman to motherfuckers like Punch Drunk. I wish that, unfortunately, that Doo-doo Andrade versus Billy Joe Saunders fight would have happened, because Billy Joe Saunders would have fucking beat him. And then all this conversation would be fucking moot and fucking void, right? Billy Joe Saunders' career is way more fucking significant. You heard me, John. You can make a video. Way more significant than Doo-doo Andrade. Literally, Billy Joe Saunders beat legitimate fucking fighters. Literally beat champions to win world titles. Had fucking stellar performances against world champions, right? I wish that fight would have happened. Unfortunately, it should have happened in the UK. If it would have happened in the UK, it would have happened. We would never have had that bullshit. Why did they ever think they should have done that fight in the States? Eddie Hearn, shake your head. Billy Joe popping for steroids, hurt Andrade. That was his fight. It wasn't steroids he popped for. It was something legal in the UK. So come on. It was something legal in the UK. He was using something that in the UK, the British Board of Boxing would have okayed. So that was the controversy. But people don't want to be completely honest. Old Gigi does too, laugh out loud. Boo Boo and Jermel will be remembered mostly for not fighting each other. That's extremely sad if you think about it. Well, that's a fight that should have happened. What other choice or what other avenue did those fighters have, right? They should have fought each other. It would have opened up doors. But once again, the fucking PBC. Andrade beats Billy Joe Saunders. Maybe his career goes different, you think? For sure. If he fought Billy Joe Saunders and beat him, Billy Joe Saunders would never have been a champion at 168, right? Potentially that could have been Demetrius Andrade, or he would have potentially got a Golovkin fight at 160, or potentially a Charlo fight. More doors would have opened because he would have had a legitimate win. He would have got more attention and praise for it. But it's sad that he didn't get the fight because that was the fight he should have got. But unfortunately, being an A-side, pushing for the fight in America, in fucking Providence, in a fucking state where you couldn't fucking really sell that much anyway, as opposed to going to the UK and fighting Billy Joe Saunders in O2 Arena, making more money. I don't know what fucking they were thinking. Andrade couldn't even find his balls to get in the ring with Zach Parker. That was the other time he dropped the ball. He could have literally put himself into mandatory position if he beat Zach Parker, right? And what has Zach Parker done since then? Fucking nothing. He got beat and has been fucking AWOL. John Ryder would have whooped Andrade too. I don't know if John Ryder would have beat him. Styles make fights, right? John Ryder was a tough kid. Obviously gave Callum Smith a really good fight. Many people feel he beat Callum Smith. But then, of course, he got flatlined by fucking Munguia. Right? Munguia and Andrade would have been a good fight. There's a lot of good fights that could have happened. But the problem with guys like him, they didn't take risks against opponents that were good fights because they were too busy hoping to get a fucking payday. No, if Gigi, Charlo, Andrade, and Janibek Munguia all messed it up at 160, would be a bit better than it is now. It's some shit. Golovkin unified titles, even as the old fighter. The problem was the other fighters didn't try to do that. Charlo and Andrade didn't do what they should have, which is unified, and then make it a possible fight for Undisputed against Golovkin. They didn't do their end. And then Janibek, you can't blame him. Andrade ducked him. Munguia ducked him. Carlos Adames and the PBC look like they're ducking him. Ryder was awful. He's not awful. He's a good domestic UK fighter who against certain opponents does well. But he's limited, right? His only claim to fame is not getting KO'd by Canelo. No, his claim to fame is his surprisingly great performance against Callum Smith, who was the WBA world champion. And people literally felt he beat Callum Smith in that fight. That was his claim to fame, and not getting knocked out by Canelo Alvarez afterwards. Who did he beat? Oh, well, he beat Zach Parker, right? To get that fight. Could have been Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, except he fucking ducked that fight, costing himself a potential Canelo Alvarez fight, right? People don't look at that. And he beat Jacobs. Oh, yeah, but, you know, not the best version of Jacobs. Wasn't that Jacobs also got beat by, what's his face? The tough Philly guy? You know what I mean. The guy Golovkin mopped the floor with early on in his career. Well, Zach broke his hand on the Ryder's head. Yeah, but that's what happens, right? That's boxing. Rosario, yes. Did Rosario beat Jacobs, or was that a draw or something? It was pretty competitive, right? But I can't remember how it unfolded. But that's definitely fucking the retread fights. Fucking Danny Jacobs, fucking Ryder, and Rosado. And what's happened to Bek Malakuziev? Since getting knocked out by Rosado, he's fucking fucking tailed off hard. Even though you throw him in with all those other good fighters at 168 pounds, and you got a lot of fucking fun fights at 168 pounds. Not fights that you need to pay big money, right? Like you could throw Beck in with probably 3 or 4 fighters, and you probably wouldn't have to pay him $1 million to make those fights, right? 500,000 to get him in with Julio Iglesias, to get him in with potentially who's the guy from Guatemala, right, that trains with Bomac, right? Quite a few fighters. Did you see the LDBC hating on Rosado for criticizing Haney? Well, that's not a surprise. The LDBC, once again, are one of those fucking groups that I mentioned earlier. These guys all tied themselves together with losing fucking fighters. They tied themselves together with Wilder. That ended fucking in embarrassment. They tied themselves together with Errol Spence. That shit ended in embarrassment. They could have tied themselves with Tank Davis, but they choose to tie themselves together with Devin Haney. That shit looks like it's also ending in embarrassment, right? These guys consistently shit the bed. Consistently. What's up, man? What's up, Jaime? How's it going? 10 o'clock your time, or what time is it where you are now? Are you East, Central, or West Coast? East Coast is what, 10 o'clock in the morning now in the States? Did you guys watch the game last night or yesterday? I guess last night your time. Houston versus Florida. Fuck, man. I was really hoping Houston was going to win. 9 in the morning in Houston, bro. Okay. So you must be disappointed Houston lost to Florida since you're living in Houston. I was hoping Houston would win. The first fucking title they would have won. Oh, but they fucking botched it up too. Fuck, man. Not only did Duke botch it up against them, they botched it up against Florida. Just like everybody has botched it up against Florida. Oh, disappointing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy Florida won. But, you know, I always like to see someone new win. Can't wait to see Moses, Shakur's cousin, on the prelims. And have you seen Matthias fight? Ray Ford's opponent fight before. I've never seen him. Yeah, no, Raymond Ford moved up to that division, and this is the second mediocre opponent he's facing, right? Nothing to get excited about. As far as Shakur's cousin, let's hope he's got a little more exciting style than his cousin, because otherwise he's going to be just as marketable as his cousin. What do you think of Janibek calling out Canelo? If he just clout chasing, or is he going to move up and fight a Berlanga or Munguia? I think, he's been calling out Canelo for a while now. This is not the first time. But anybody up from 160 to 175, even lower weight divisions, is obviously looking at a Canelo Alvarez fight. For him, a guy that's never really gotten the opportunities, why wouldn't he do it? Who knows if he'll get a Canelo Alvarez fight, but it might help him open doors for some other big events, even potentially getting him in Saudi Arabia. I'm from Houston, and I didn't even know they made it to the finals. I don't follow basketball. Really? I figured it'd be all over the news, TV, and everywhere. Yeah, it was a great game. Super competitive. And fucking Clayton from Florida, man, that kid, it's going to be interesting to see him in the NBA next year. He really got a good game. Hopefully the cousin ain't boring like Kerr. Exactly. The SEC was strong this year. Fucking, that's what I said when I did my pool. I put a lot of push into the SEC because I watched them a ton this year because I'm a Kentucky fan. So I was watching all the Kentucky games. So then you get to see every game. Actually, Kentucky beat Florida, right? But you knew that conference, everyone's going to lose because fucking Alabama, Florida, Auburn, fucking Arkansas, Kentucky, Georgia, Mississippi State, fucking, deep. Yeah, so it's good to see an SEC team win. It just justifies my belief in the SEC. Because the SEC, they're benefiting because they got all that football money, right? And because they got all that football money, they're able to pay fucking more money to their basketball players. So that's why the SEC is super dangerous right now. Super dangerous. But people, it's 10 o'clock. We've been on for 2:50. I think I'm going to call it a day. Thanks everyone for jumping in on our incognito live today. Obviously, when I saw all of this Benavidez Bivol talk and how Bivol is ducking, I felt I had to jump on and get in there. So thanks for jumping in and joining me. Shakur just needs names for people to respect him. He's going to do Zepeda like he did Oscar Valdez, an undefeated Olympian champion. Yeah, but even you beat Zepeda, never a champion, right? Like he needs Tank Davis. That's what he needs. You already know I'm a huge Kentucky fan. Kentucky. I'm curious to see who Kentucky's going to get in the transfer portal. So far, they got one guard, one forward. I don't know much about them, but it'll be interesting. And who's coming back next year? Let's just hope he doesn't bore us to death. Exactly. But peace, everyone. Obviously, I'm going to be going live later this week, talking about the upcoming fights this weekend, breaking it down, making my predictions. Actually, I should do that today because otherwise I might forget. So I will see you later this week. Stay tuned. It'll probably be around the same time as this, maybe Thursday. So keep your eyes open, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Enjoy your week. Thanks for jumping in. Have a good one.